and other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
1, 2, 3. I think it was a good game. Had a couple of big plays.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's showtime.
And welcome into the Wednesday edition of Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Michelle Knezovic. Nick Frazier here with you on this Wednesday morning. Joe Rexrode out again today. We got a whole lot to get to on the program here today. We'll have Barry Trotz, Predators' incoming general manager, joining the show at 7:45. Paul Koharski from paulkoharski.com at 8 o'clock for his weekly visit. And Luke Evangelista of the Nashville Predators / Milwaukee Admirals joining us at 8:30. Admirals in the midst of a playoff run. Luke Evangelista has been a big part of that, so he'll join the show at 8:30. So looking forward to that. So moving some stuff around today. The choice is yours coming up at 6:30 with Michelle Knezovic in the questions chair a little bit later this hour. So looking forward to that. Michelle, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Robby. Another day of 5 hours of sports talk radio. We love it.
Put Michelle to the test this week.
I've got an extra large coffee, and I'm ready to go.
Ready to get after it. Nick Frazier, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Robby and Michelle. Back again for day 2. The suit texts me and goes, "Hey, you think you could fill in again?" I was like, "I mean, if you want me to, I can." And I'm here.
Here we are. Day 2 with Nick Frazier behind the saddle out there. Like I said, a lot to get to on the program today. We're going to start on the Tennessee Titans, including, I thought, a really interesting thread that I saw on Twitter yesterday from our friend of the show, Mike Herndon, who writes for paulkoharski.com, and we'll get PK's thoughts on this a little bit later in the show. But basically, the genesis of the thread really went back to the offensive line, right, and what that looks like right now. We talk about it all the time. The Titans have certainly made their offensive line different, but how much better is it actually going to be? And, Herndon made the point where you've got a rookie coming in that you just drafted, albeit you feel good about the rookie, but you lost your 2 best offensive linemen with Lawan going out and with Ben Jones going out this past offseason. Mm-hmm. Aaron Brewer is stepping into a spot that's been held down by Ben Jones for the past 6 years. You got a rookie right tackle from last year that's trying to move into his second year and take another step. We'll see whether or not he can. You got a guy, Daniel Brunskill, who did not start last year for the 49ers coming in at right guard, we would assume. And you've got Andre Dillard at left tackle, who was not good enough to be the starter at the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, granted, Philadelphia has a great offensive line, but the fact remains that Dillard still was not good enough to be a starter in Philadelphia. So Herndon's point was, are we really so sure that the Titans have drastically improved their offensive line? There's a good chance that it could be better, but what if it's not? What if you look around and you say pretty quickly, I don't know that Andre Dillard's going to get it done at left tackle, or Daniel Brunskill at right guard, maybe not the long-term solution. Or as we talked about yesterday, Michelle, kind of the nightmare scenario I think for the Titans would be that, Dillard's not really getting it done at left tackle, and Petit Frere is not what we thought he was going to be at right tackle. And then all of a sudden, you get through next year, and the offensive line's not that much better. And with all the needs you're still going to have on this roster heading into the draft in 2024, you're looking around saying, man, we might need another right tackle and we might need another left tackle at that point. So as you look at this offensive line, are we wrong to assume that the Titans' offensive line will be better next season given the moves that they've made?
I mean, it definitely is concerning, and I think that has been my hesitation this entire offseason, saying that, the O-line has gotten better, and I've tried to stop myself because I really want to say, yes, it's gotten better. On paper, it's gotten better. But, when you look at how depleted it was last year and, you get a guy like Dennis Daly, that was a complete fail. You use draft capital to get him. You put Aaron Brewer in and Dylan Radins and Nicholas Petit Frere, and essentially, you're just trying to get something to work. And Mike Vrabel, the whole year said you got to protect your quarterback. And we saw how different this roster was, when Ryan Tannehill went down and couldn't play for this team. And yes, you go out and you make moves and you address the offensive line. So I think, from the fan base's standpoint, okay, well, you have made moves to make upgrades, but based off of the guys that you have added to this roster, you didn't go out and get an Orlando Brown Jr. You didn't go out and get a splash, big offensive lineman who's very proven in this league. You got guys who were serviceable. Maybe together they're great, but it's still a maybe. So I think it's premature to assume that it is better. It looks better, but, you also still have a rookie in Peter Skoronski, and we're assuming that, he's going to be able to start day one. He's a first-round pick, so he needs to start day one.
Sure.
But, where does he fit in with a guy like Nicholas Petit-Frere? How much of a step did he take in year one from year two? You've got an Andre Dillard coming from the Eagles to here, just from a completely different organization. Same with Daniel Brunskill. What do they look like? And can Andre Dillard be a left tackle? I think that's also a major concern as well. So, when we say it's better, I think it's easy to look at last year's offensive line and say, oh, that was really bad. That was really bad. It can't get any worse. So I think you can look at it and say, okay, they got better players, but how will they all work together? Because this, it's not just one person. The offensive line, it depends so much on how all of them work together. So if it's not, though, it's going to be a long, long season, because we could be in another position a year from now saying they used their first round draft pick on an offensive lineman, and I do not think that Titans fans will be happy about that.
No, they won't. And, obviously, when you look back at from Isaiah Wilson to Dylan Radins to Nicholas Petit-Frere, now you've drafted Peter Skoronski. I mean, there's a lot of draft capital that you've spent on offensive line the past few years, and it's worked to varying degrees. Like Petit-Frere, I mean, he wasn't horrible last year. He had some moments where he looked good, but he certainly has to be better. Like there's the level of play that he had at right tackle last year is not going to be the level which you need him to be at this year. Like he's got to get better and improve. And he's a young player. I think he can improve. So we'll see whether or not that takes place this year as training camp unfolds. But there's enough questions about this offense anyway, and that's if the line is better, right? Let's say the line does improve. There's still a ton of questions. What's Ryan Tannehill going to look like? Is Derrick Henry, as he approaches 30 years old, still going to be the same player? Who in the world is going to catch the ball for the Titans at wide receiver? Like there's plenty of questions without even factoring in the offensive line. If they get to the season and it becomes apparent pretty quickly that the offensive line is not that much better, then I just don't see a path to success for this team. We've talked about the margin for error already with the offense and the receiving room being what it is. And that's with what I will assume to be improved offensive line play. If they don't get improved offensive line play or not significantly improved offensive line play, then this offense, I don't know how they're going to generate enough points. Like you've got to have it.
And you're doing such a disservice to guys who've been so important to this organization the last couple of years, and Ryan Tannehill and also Derrick Henry. I mean, a legendary running back who is, I think he's just about 1,600 yards away from breaking that 10,000 rushing yards in his career. And, to be behind another offensive line who can't block for him, or Ryan Tannehill, a veteran quarterback who another year has to watch you draft a quarterback. And yes, you draft an offensive lineman, but the line was so bad last year and he couldn't do anything. I mean, there was very little that he could do. And then, of course, the injury happens. But I look at this situation and I think if this offensive line isn't good, we saw how much Vrabel put an emphasis on it in his end of season press conference and said, we have to protect our quarterback. And he's hit on that so many times in the game. And Rand Carthon has hit on, the game starts at the line of scrimmage. It's important to, be elite in the trenches. And I have a feeling if, first off, you fire Keith Carter, you promote your offensive line coach in there, you move around the line. But the reality is you've made so many changes to it. It's not going to be great day one. It really isn't. And I think, a couple games in, you'll be able to tell, okay, is this team look like Ryan Tannehill has at least a bit of time to get through some of his reads to make a play, considering he doesn't have many weapons out there? Because if it's not, we already talk about the wide receiver core being very, very depleted. We talk about the tight end room being depleted. You have Derrick Henry. I understand that. But we talked about 17 points a game last year, averaging. Yeah, it could be around that.
Yeah.
Maybe less.
Which is not good. Need to be better than that. So that's how we're starting today. Are we wrong to assume that the Titans' offensive line will be significantly better next season? Hit up our text line, our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We'll continue that conversation coming up here in just a few minutes. I do want to get you some breaking news out of the NFL and regarding the Tennessee Titans. We knew that the Titans would be playing in London coming up this season, and now we know when and against who. They will be playing on October 15th against the Baltimore Ravens in London.
Ooh.
So Titans playing in London. The entire schedule is coming out tomorrow night, which that's another thing. Which we'll get this a little bit later in the show, but the schedule release in the NFL and the just obsession that people has over it is just hilarious.
Junie Riddle. 2 words, Junie Riddle.
It's a schedule, folks.
I don't get it either, Robby.
We already know the opponents. It was just a schedule. That's all we're waiting on. Anyway, Titans will be playing the Baltimore Ravens at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London coming up on Sunday, October the 15th. So the Titans played in London a few years ago against the Chargers with Marcus Mariota as the quarterback, and now they're heading back overseas, taking on the Baltimore Ravens at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London coming up on Sunday, October 15th. So we'll take your reaction to that, take your reaction to our offensive line question of the day as well, 615-737-1025. We'll have more on that coming up next. Let me tell you about the Nashville Predators. Season tickets for the Preds 2023-24 season are on sale now. The Preds will be celebrating their 25th anniversary throughout next season, and full, half, and quarter season plans are available. You can join the Loyal Legion today and receive the best seat locations at the best pricing, up to 50% off discounts on concessions throughout the season as well, and up to 6 bonus tickets to select games in the 2023-24 season, plus priority access to the 2023 NHL Draft and awards, both of which are hosted right here in Nashville coming up this summer. You can learn more at NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. Once again, that's NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
B&B Flooring has a goal to bring your dream floor to you. Over 30 years running and locally owned and operated, B&B Flooring's full-service commercial and residential team will handle anything from tile, luxury vinyl, carpet, hardwood, rubber, and all commercial products.
Visit their showroom at 2204 Northwest Broad Street in Murfreesboro, or check them out at bnbflooringtn.com to make your flooring selection today. Call 615-216-0551 and schedule a free quote at your home or office.
We got you covered.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Attorney Joe Cordell. Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Nashville area attorneys. 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
O'Reilly. Make your tires shine with superior coverall tire shine at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Our professional parts people can help you choose the right cleaning supplies for your vehicle. Finish any great detail job with superior coverall tire shine. Right now, get 2 bottles for just $18. See store for details. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Take as little as 3 minutes to see if you could save on motorcycle insurance with Progressive. Come on, you've spent more time than that thinking about helmets with faces on them.
I should get a new helmet. Ooh, maybe I'll get one of those ones that looks like a face with painted teeth and eyebrows, you know? Oh, that always looks so cool. People are like, whoa, is that a person with 2 faces? Oh, no, it's a helmet and 1 face.
Get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Good morning. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Maddox is with us. What position do you think the Titans will put Peter Skoronski at this week in rookie minicamp? And what position should Peter Skoronski play?
Skoronski, I think they'll put him at guard, most likely left guard, and let him start there. What should he play? Well, in an ideal world, he'd be playing guard.
No.
Yeah. Here's the problem you run into, though. You've got 2 ways to approach this if you're the Tennessee coaches. One way is to do what you're talking about, and in support of what you've been saying, Jared, that he should be playing left tackle because you put your best player at the most critical position and then build everybody else around it and let the chips fall where they may. That is a reasonable course of action.
That was Trevor Maddich on Stillman and Company for his weekly visit. Jared very upset at the idea of Peter Skoronski potentially playing at guard rather than tackle.
Oh, he wants to play. Okay.
Yes.
Did you hear Trevor? He's like, that is a reasonable expectation, Jared.
Well, I think he's going to play at guard too, at least to start. I mean, you know, I guess here's the question: if he's not playing at left guard, who is? Right?
Yes.
Aaron Brewer?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to play center. I guess you could do Corey Levin at center, and Aaron Brewer at left guard, and Peter Skoronski at left tackle,
or at quarterback, one or the other.
Or you could move. I guess you could move Andre Dillard in at left guard too. But my guess is you're probably going to see at least to start Andre Dillard at left tackle, Peter Skoronski at left guard, Aaron Brewer at center, Daniel Brunskill at right guard, and then Nicholas Petit-Frere at right tackle. Now, it's a little bit different coming up this week because Skoronski, it's rookie minicamp, so it's not like Dillard and Brewer and Petit-Frere and all the other guys are going to be out there. So, Skoronski very well could play a lot of different positions this week at rookie minicamp. But my guess is when they take the field the first day at training camp coming up later this summer, that it'll be Dillard at left tackle, Skoronski at left guard, Brewer at center, and then Brunskill and Petit-Frere after that, which I'm fine with. That I feel like that has the makings of a solid offensive line, but I get the idea of, well, they drafted this guy at number 11 overall. You'd like for him to be a tackle at that point, but we talked about this in the pre-draft process. If he's really, really good at guard, then I can live with you taking a guard at number 11 if he's really good at that position.
Yeah, I agree with you, Robby. I mean, if he can be, serviceable at guard, maybe, depending on how he is, could he be a center one day for this team for the next 10 years, be a pivotal part of this offense? And I'm just happy that we're heading into, this training camp with a general idea of what the offensive line looks like, and the question of will Dylan Radins be the right tackle will not be coming up every single day.
Don't think that's going to happen. Don't think that's going to be a question heading into training camp.
Well, and rookie minicamp coming up, we forgot to mention in the last segment, they also did draft a guy in the 6th round, Jalen Duncan from Maryland, for more depth on the offensive line. I get it. He was a 6th-round pick, played at Maryland. I don't know really what he has to offer. Of course, most people are going to be looking at Peter Skoronski to start day one, but, what can he add, whether it be a swing tackle or just a depth piece on this offensive line, considering it was a huge problem last year of, who's playing, who's hurt, who's healthy. Ben Jones in there, then Aaron Brewer had to go in there. So, what does he look like as well? Because I'm looking at this offensive line and I'm thinking, okay, you feel more confident about the lineup we just laid out, but also, who are also those pieces that can plug and play if somebody is injured, which we know this team has been a culprit of.
Trevor on the text line says, not only do you have a bunch of unproven backups coming in, but they also hired a first-year offensive line coach. This is from Trevor on the text line. And that is a good thing to talk about. You brought it up earlier, Michelle. But Keith Carter's out. So you got the new offensive line coach in there. You got Brunskill, who was a backup last year. You got Dillard, who was a backup last year. You've got Petit Frere, who needs to take another step at right tackle. You've got Aaron Brewer, that depending on who you ask, maybe he's too small to play on the offensive line.
290.
He's in the neighborhood of 290, according to him. According to others, maybe he's not. But just saying.
Somebody's just on the back of that scale pushing it down.
Just sitting there holding it down, doing some push-ups on the back part of that scale. But the point is, like, I don't know what this line is going to be. It's easy to sit here and say, for me, well, it's going to be hard to be worse than Dennis Daly. Like, I think we can all agree with that. Like, it's going to be pretty difficult for Andre Dillard to step in at left tackle and be worse than what Dennis Daly was, or even be as bad as what Dennis Daly was. But again, that really shouldn't be the bar. Like, the bar should not be, oh, well, at least he's better than Dennis Daly, because that's not that hard of a bar to clear at that point. Question is, like, can he be a good left tackle? I'm not saying he needs to be an all-pro over there, but can you effectively leave him out there in one-on-one matchups where you don't have to give him help and he can protect your quarterback long enough for him to get rid of the ball? Like, look, every left tackle at some point is going to get beat, and they're going to give up some sacks. I get that. Now, Dennis Daly turned it into an art form last year of giving up sacks and letting the quarterback get hit. So you can't have that. But can you at least get good, solid, reliable play out of Andre Dillard? And that's the other thing. Like, we talk about the tight end position, right? They draft Wiley out of Cincinnati. They've got Chig coming in there. Well, you also need Chig to be able to go out and run routes and get out there and get open. Like, with the way the wide receiver room is set up right now, like, you need as many playmakers running routes as you can have. And if the offensive line is sorry heading into this year and you have to have Chig stay in there and chip all the time, that hurts your passing game that way too. Like, you need this line to be able to, for the most part, there are going to be matchups where you have to chip. But for the most part, you need them to be able to just sit in there and hold their own and give the quarterback time to pass.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, too. You know, we always laugh about, blocking tight ends, blocking wide receivers. They love them in Tennessee. But the reality is there are so few guys who are playmakers on this team. I mean, Chig and Treylon Burks are really the only ones I think we can say confidently, and that's not even too confident considering, Treylon Burks was hurt last year. They both were rookies last year. Chigakonkwo didn't, play as much as people were wanting to see him out there because I feel like every time he touched the ball, he made a play with it. But, that's true because, you look at this offensive line needed help from so many other people last year, in addition to then just Dennis Daly being a turntable out there and Ryan Tannehill getting killed every play. I mean, you don't want to see your quarterback on the ground, every single play. And this team has had the luxury of having Taylor Lewan at left tackle for what year did he get drafted? He got drafted
2014.
2014. So, almost 10 years, right? They've had the luxury of having a guy who can be a true left tackle in this league and really, be elite at that level. And then, once you lose a guy like that, you hope that, you can draft somebody in the time being when he's still there and eventually begin that transition. But it has just been tough with him, and his injuries the last 2 years. Now, obviously, he's not on the team anymore, but trying to figure out that position. I mean, it's so crucial. It really is. We talk about the wide receiver group too, but, wide receivers and playmakers don't matter much if your quarterback can't stay up on his 2 feet.
Well, then the other part of this is run blocking, right? I mean, they've got to be able to run block effectively for Derrick Henry back. We know Derrick Henry is going to get a lot of carries. You got Dillard coming in. I like Dillard's size a lot. Brunskill, I've watched some of him. Like, I think he'll be okay run blocking. Petit Frere's got to take a step in that area. You still got Aaron Brewer at center. He's got to take a step in that area. And then we'll see about Skoronski. It's one thing to be a good run blocker in college, but can you do it in the NFL? I feel pretty good, having watched some of him play, that he'll probably translate pretty well in that skill set in the NFL, but we know how important that's going to be for the Titans to do that. So lots of eyeballs going to be on the offensive line. With an offense that already has a ton of question marks, they need the offensive line to be improved significantly, and we'll see whether or not it is. We brought up the London game for the Titans. They're taking on Baltimore coming up in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on October 15th. The rest of the schedule will be announced tomorrow. David in Arkansas on the text line says, I hate that we drew the Ravens in London. That could have been a good home game to go to. Why couldn't it be the Seahawks or a team that no one cares about? This is from David in Arkansas on the text line. Like, from the London perspective, Titans-Ravens is not a bad game.
Well, they want people probably to go.
Yeah.
So, give them a good game overseas. But, yeah, I agree. I mean, that would have been a really fun home game just based off of their, matchup these last couple years ago, in the playoffs, a couple years in a row. But I'm excited.
Yeah, they've announced the whole international schedule. So week 4, the Falcons and the Jags will be playing in London, and then the Jags and the Bills in week 5 in Tottenham. So the Jags just camping out over in London for a while.
Wow, 2 weeks in a row?
2 weeks in a row. And then the Ravens and Titans in Tottenham week 6, Dolphins and Chiefs in Frankfurt, Germany in week 9, and then the Colts and the Patriots in Germany as well in week 10. So a few London games and a couple of Germany games thrown in there as well for the international schedule in 2024.
I'm excited. I mean, I know we make a lot of, or some people make a lot of the schedule release, but not gonna lie, seeing some of these matchups
fired you up.
I'm getting a little excited. Like, on my page right now, it's Chiefs Dolphins.
Yes.
I'm getting a little excited about that, Robby. I'm getting a little excited about that.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it is time for The Choice is Yours here on the program. A special time of 6:30 today. Michelle Knezovic is in the questions chair. We will do that next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The NFL offseason is in full swing, but you'll never miss any of the big news. Thanks to Yahoo's Charles Robinson.
They know that there's a chance that they're going to have to deal this guy.
He's one of the best insiders there is.
All of a sudden, he becomes a functional player who we thought was just trash.
Join Charles Robinson every Thursday morning at 8 on Robby and Rexrode, presented by the NFL Alumni Association on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Choice is Yours, Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
You don't have just an ordinary mom in your life. She's the best. Her work never stops. Her sacrifices are many. Her love is unfailing. This Mother's Day, Genesis Diamonds invites you to join us in celebrating and appreciating the mothers in our lives. Stop in and let one of our trusted advisors help you find a special, meaningful gift. Layering necklaces, stackable rings, eternity bands, pearls, elegant diamond pendants, and of course, stunning diamond earrings. Great Mother's Day ideas for any budget. There's no doubt we love Mom, but sometimes a little extra appreciation goes a long way as a thank you for helping us through challenges, making sacrifices, and always putting the family first. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, Mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary. And at Genesis, that's our specialty. Exquisite rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, heirloom pieces. Timeless gifts of jewelry that she can enjoy and cherish for decades to come, and always be reminded of how special she is to the family. Genesis Diamonds, online at genesisdiamonds.net.
Buffalo Bills Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming welcomes you as you enter Yellowstone Park's East Entrance. 5 museums in one and the greatest firearms museum anywhere. Welcome to the West. Buffalo Bills Center of the West, Cody, Wyoming.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Inflation has pushed up the cost of just about everything, which means if you bought life insurance a few years ago, it might not be enough to protect your family today. Now is the time to get the insurance you need at a price you can afford. In a hurry? Don't worry. Call Select Quote now and get up to $2 million in instant, affordable, same-day coverage with no medical exam. That's right. you can get up to $2 million in instant, affordable, same-day coverage with no medical exam in under an hour.
Call Select Quote at 1-800-613-8990. That's 1-800-613-8990. Or go to SelectQuote.com now and get up to $2 million in instant, affordable, same-day coverage with no medical exam. That's 1-800-613-8990. Or go to SelectQuote.com now.
Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercial.
They talk sports.
The Predators get the 2 points, which is obviously what they needed.
They're not making big moves that are jaw-dropping signings in free agency.
They talk life.
Well, I almost just fell down the stairs, so there's that.
My backpack was so heavy, the seatbelt alarm was going off the entire trip.
But most of all, they have a good time.
Here or there.
Yeah.
Chase and Michelle, weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Penny Hardaway, University of Memphis coach. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
We all have choices to make. Like right now. It's The Choice is Yours, built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice, so when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The choice is yours, now on Robby and Rexrode.
It is that time of the week. Time for The Choice is Yours here on Robby and Rexrode. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies, your one-stop shop for site and utility work, fire protection, paving, and concrete needs. You can get your free estimate at JarrettCompaniesInc.com. Choice is Yours at a little bit of a different time today. We've got Barry Trotz coming up at 7:45. Luke Evangelista joining the show at 8:30, which is normally when we do The Choice is Yours. So move some things around today. Michelle Konezovic is in the questions chair. Michelle, I turn things over to you.
Now that I'm thinking about it, we should have just done The Choice is Yours with Barry.
Well,
we would have got long answers. Yeah. Okay, so Nick, since you are the guest on Choice is Yours this week, what do you want to start with, sports or non-sports?
Let's go non-sports.
Okay, non-sports. I just came up with these questions on the fly. So in honor of, I know it's May, but college football is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. One college campus that you haven't visited that you would love to go for a college game day, tailgate, and experience their whole Saturday tradition.
That's a good one. I'll start.
Yeah, you go first.
Go ahead, Rob.
I think LSU is my answer. And I don't know that there's anything necessarily special about the LSU campus, but I have heard the tailgating is out of this world. And, whether they're cooking up gator or what other Cajun food they got down there, I think LSU would be my answer. I've heard really good things. So I will go, and not just because we've talked about Ed Orgeron on the show so far this week. Let's go LSU is my answer.
I have Tiger Stadium is at the top of my list. And honestly, this just shows how northern I am. First time I went to a Kentucky-Florida football game, I saw people with gator, and I was like, where am I?
What is this?
Where am I?
What's happening here?
Mine is also going to be an SEC school because we all know it just means more. But it's been on my bucket list, and I kicked myself for not going last year when Kentucky played there, but it's the Grove. Ole Miss, the Grove. You hear so much about it, what it's like when you kind of just walk down in their entire area.
Lane Kiffin wandering around.
Lane Kiffin wandering around, of course. His dog, who has a Twitter account now, which is wild. But I think Ole Miss is at the top of my list of wanting to go down there and experience that.
Okay. Well, I like that. I like the pick. I'm not a big Ole Miss fan. I'm a Mississippi State fan, so it's kind of hard to really grasp that. Robby, I've been to Death Valley in Baton Rouge.
Ooh.
Great pick. One of my buddies took me like a 4 a.m. trip. We drive 8 hours. It was a great game. Tailgating's phenomenal. For me, it's definitely in the SEC. Maybe Alabama. The tailgating in the SEC is different. When I went to Starkville, there were people getting like portable chandeliers and putting them into tents. I'm like, am I at the Ritz-Carlton? What's going on here?
Portable chandeliers.
Yes, Robby. Portable chandeliers. They're putting them to a generator. It's crazy. But yeah, I'd have to probably go with Alabama just because of the prestige. But if I'd go like a soft second, give me Penn State.
Okay,
Penn State, that's a good one.
Well, Happy Valley.
Alabama, it's pretty insane. I've been there.
We got to vote for Florida State on the text line.
Okay.
I've not been to Florida State either, so that'd be good.
I feel like some of those southern Florida ones are good too. Okay, switching to sports. In honor of the International NFL schedule being released this morning. What is one international sporting event, so it can be any sporting event, that is on your bucket list in your lifetime, you want to go to it once? And let's just say it's free for the sake of.
Okay, mine, so I could go Olympics here. I guess I could go World Cup, but mine would be Premier League soccer. I'm not a huge Premier League guy, but I've seen some of the crowds there and like how intense it is. And I would love to just go check it out, whether it's, like a Chelsea game or whatever it be. Like, I would love to go watch one Premier League soccer game in Europe and just check it out because it looks like it's nuts over there. So that would probably be my answer.
I have a feeling, Nick.
You go ahead, Michelle, please. Ladies first.
Mine be Wimbledon.
Okay.
It's always been something. I'm not a huge.
I should have said that.
I'm not a huge tennis gal, but I actually went to the Cincinnati Open a couple months ago, and I didn't realize how entertaining and just unique a sporting event like that is. Sitting there, the way it's all set up. It was phenomenal in Cincinnati, and I can only imagine, at the absolute highest level. So Wimbledon is definitely on the top of my list, and I wish that, Serena could be in it, and we could make that happen. But I don't know if that'll happen.
Wimbledon is on my list too. I can't believe I didn't say it. The British Open, which
Yes.
I guess is just called the Open now.
Yeah.
That I would love to go watch that one too.
Even the Masters.
There's a lot.
And I know that's in the U.S., but the Masters too. I mean, if you were able to win the lottery, that'd be incredible too.
Yeah. My brother and dad actually went to the Masters practice rounds this past year. It got rained out the year before, so they went, and I was like, oh, I didn't get to go.
That's pretty awesome.
I see who the favorite is in the family. It's
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
For me, Michelle kind of hinted at it. It is definitely a soccer situation for me. Growing up as a kid, my grandparents are Italian. They would always buy the sports packages for European soccer, whatever. But I've always wanted to experience a derby day in Italy. Like, for example, I'm a big AC Milan fan, and they're actually playing Inter Milan in their rivalry in the Champions League. So like that is probably the mecca of a rivalry in the Champions League. So the Derby della Madonnina is my...
What you said.
Yes, exactly. The tongue twister. That is my number one thing there.
And on the text line, John in Springfield, the Open. Somebody else says, I'd love to attend the Highland Games in Scotland. The World Cup, that's a good one.
Does the running of the bulls count? Can I go watch the people run away from the bulls?
Please be up high.
I'm not running away from the bull, but I want to watch people run away from the bull. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that definitely is something that would intrigue me as well. Okay, back to non-sports. If you had a biography on your life, a movie, who would you want to play you? And I can go first if you guys want to take a minute. I think Rachel McAdams.
That's a good one.
When she has the red hair, because I just feel like it goes with me. I also think that she's one of the most versatile actresses. I mean, she's been in so many different movies, also one of my favorite actresses. And I'm going to answer for Rexrode because this just came into my head when I was coming up with this question.
Ben Affleck?
Vince Vaughn.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah,
I think his one-liners, his goofiness, his mannerisms.
Yeah.
I just think it would amplify Rexrode, and it would just be amazing. So, Rexrode, if you are listening,
that's good.
Not Ben Affleck, Vince Vaughn.
I will go. There's a couple that popped into my mind. I think I will go with Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson would be my guy. Number one, he doesn't have a whole lot of hair, so I feel like that's a prerequisite for if you're going to play me in a movie. You can't have a whole lot of hair. So Woody Harrelson will be on my list. He's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
He's played in a bunch of different roles, which I like. And I just find him to be pretty funny. So I'll go Woody Harrelson.
He also looks like Matthew McConaughey's brother.
Which apparently.
But apparently,
maybe he is. I don't know.
I saw that the other day. Nick, what about you?
I'm not too sure. Obviously, Woody Harrelson's a great comp for Robby there. I don't know if you've seen the new show White House Plumbers on HBO Max.
I have not.
Highly recommend it. Okay. It's about Watergate, but besides that, it's pretty funny. It's comedy. For me, a lot of people tell me I look like Joey Tribbiani from Friends. Okay. So probably Matt LeBlanc. I'd probably go Matt LeBlanc.
That's good. I like that.
Just for the feature comparison.
Okay. Yeah. I like that one for you, Nick. I love hearing everybody's comparisons.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Joey doesn't share his food. Okay, finally, rounding out with sports. We all work in the sports world. And, it's our job to cover some big-time athletes. But what is one athlete that if you had the opportunity to cover, you kind of in your head for a second would have to be like, okay, a bit of a fan moment of, wow, this is pretty incredible right now. I can go first with this one for you guys to think for a second, but it honestly happened the other day when I went to Memphis to cover the Lakers and the Grizz first round NBA playoff series. I was in the press conference room, and LeBron walked in.
Yep.
And I will say, people can think however they want about him, but sitting in the press conference for a moment, I had to be like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
For sure. Like I was in a media scrum with him one time too, and he's like the first athlete I looked at. I was like, golly, he's huge. Good gracious. He's a big guy.
Well, and I walked out, and I was about 5, like a foot and a half from Anthony Davis, and I was like,
also huge.
I feel like a very small person right now. I mean, my forehead might have been right above his belly button.
Yeah.
I was like, hey dude, what's up?
You gigantic human. How are you?
How you doing up there?
Yeah. I think mine would be Tiger Woods, and I know it's it's a little different now. He's gone through injuries, and he just played the Masters and then had to go get ankle surgery again. So I don't know how many more times we're going to see Tiger Woods in like a competitive setting at this point, but Tiger Woods, I still think you can make a pretty good argument in my lifetime, which dates back to the early 90s, might be the most dominant athlete of the time. I mean, look, it's a PGA Tour. I think he had like at one point at the height of it like almost a 30% winning percentage, which sounds small. It's not. It's gigantic. It's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And had he not had the personal issues that he had and the injuries and the car wreck and all these other things, I think he definitely probably would have broke the major record of 18. He's at 15 right now. He's probably going to stay there would be my guess.
Yeah.
But I think he would have smashed the 18 majors held by Jack Nicklaus. So I will go Tiger Woods.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
I am going to keep it localized, not localized Nashville, but in the United States. Albert Pujols. Grew up playing baseball. I mean, idolized his swing pattern, the way he hit the ball. That's what I did growing up as a kid, so probably Albert Pujols. But Lorenzo Insigne is my other one. That's actually happened last year when I covered Nashville SC. One of my buddies plays for Toronto FC, and Lorenzo Insigne photobombed my podcast. And I was like, okay, I've lived.
It's all good now. Yep.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
Honestly, though, I will say the first time I saw Derrick Henry in person about 2 years ago, I was like, wow. This is probably the biggest human I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, he's pretty large.
It's like, how are we the same thing?
Pretty fast.
How are we the same actual person?
Right.
Right?
It's crazy. This has been The Choice is Yours. You can check it out normally every Wednesday at 8:30. Moving some things around today. Got Barry Trotz coming up at 7:45, Paul Kaharski at 8, and Luke Evangelista at 8:30 today. So looking forward to all that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll get into some playoff action from last night in the NBA and the NHL. At the top of the hour at 7 o'clock, we'll throw this question out there. How much will we learn about Mike Vrabel coming up this season? All that ahead. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Want to jump into the mind of a 15-year NFL vet? Well, here's your chance. D-Mace. It's Ask D-Mace.
Come on, bring them on.
Ask questions on football and life to Derek Mason every Friday at 12:30 on Ask D-Mace.
Don't mess with her. The skilled guy. Money reigns supreme.
On Caroline, Willie, and
D-Mace.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knezovic here for Superbook Sports. Baseball's back, and the push for the postseason is on for hockey and hoops. You got a little bit more NBA playoff action tonight. Miami Heat and the New York Knicks. I think Miami's going to close this one out. They're plus 3.5 on the spread. I'm taking them plus 3.5. I'm also taking them plus 142 on the money line. And another series that I think is going to close out tonight, the Lakers and the Warriors. The Warriors are a 7.5-point favorite. I'm going to take the Lakers plus the 7.5. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. Also going to take the Lakers plus 275. That's pretty good value on the money line there. Superbook is the best wagering app around. It's my official sports book with a direct line to experienced bookmakers behind the counter in Las Vegas. Plus, when you sign up today, deposit a little money, and wager all in the same day. You can do it right now. Grab your smartphone, laptop, sign up, put a little money on there. I gave you some wagers. I like the Lakers plus 275 on the money line, and wager, you will get a $250 bonus. So don't let spring pass you by without winning some money with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Celebrating mothers everywhere. Electronic Express has what you need to make this the best Mother's Day yet. Spoil mom with brands like Samsung, Sony, LG, KitchenAid, Dyson, and more. We've also got huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, housewares, smart home, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 3 years free financing. Shop in-store or online. Get more for mom at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
When looking for quality adult recreational sports in Nashville, look no further than Mid-State Sports. With over 25,000 participants, they are one of the largest sports organizations in the Southeast. Summer registration is now open for adult sports like softball, sand volleyball, soccer, flag football, kickball, and basketball. For a full list of adult sports offerings, check out midstatesports.com. It's no debate. Play Mid-State.
She would do anything for you. She's your biggest fan. She's your mom. And mom turned upside down spells wow. So give her a day full of wows this Mother's Day, starting with an incredible gift from the Diamond Cellar. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Cellar. From classic diamond jewelry to luxury pieces from our world-class designers, we have the perfect gifts for every mom, stepmom, or grandmother. Show her how much you care with something she really wants, but would never buy herself. Visit us at the Diamond Cellar in Green Hills. The possibilities are endless.
Today on Hey Culligan's Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener, here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game has an all-star lineup Monday through Friday. Batting first at 6 a.m., it's Robby and Rexrode.
Yeah, you take that. You take that. Take me 80% of that.
Followed by Chase and Michelle at 9.
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
I need my caffeine so much.
Then it's Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace at 11.
Yep, green light, let's go.
You've got a lot of options. He say, she say.
And bringing it home at 2, Jared Stillman for Stillman and Company.
That guy will be a good coach.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Jokic down back over to Murray at the mid-post. Spin move on Payne. Head fake, up, under, jumper. Banked it up and in, and there it is. Triple-double for Nikola Jokic. It was less than 2 dribbles. 102-80.
Big game last night for Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets win 118-102, take a 3-2 series lead in that one against the Phoenix Suns. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Call TJ's team today to see why they are referred to so often. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. So, Michelle, a triple-double for Nikola Jokic last night against the Phoenix Suns. The Suns had tied the series back up at 2, so the home team has won every game so far in the series. They'll be back in Phoenix for Game 6 coming up. But Jokic last night with 29 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists. So pretty nice game for a guy that's been in the MVP running in the last 3 or 4 years. Joel Embiid, the MVP this year, but certainly a big game from Jokic last night. And the Denver Nuggets, one win away from taking down Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and the Phoenix Suns.
And Nikola Jokic, that was his 10th triple-double in the postseason, passing Wilt Chamberlain.
It's not bad.
So pretty good. I don't know if you saw Kevin Durant with the tech last night.
I did.
For Jokic. I will say, I just rewatched the video. Jokic kind of really played into that flopness. But getting a little chippy, a little chirpy out there. Obviously, the Suns don't have Chris Paul, who's your favorite player ever the entire NBA. But
Him and Kyrie Irving both just can't say enough good things.
I mean, you look at the Suns, too, and you think when they lost Chris Paul, it was going to be a tall task just because of how much he does for this team on the offense. But, I mean, the Suns have hung in there. I've thought that the Nuggets have been one of the best teams all year. You mentioned Jokic. I mean, he's been in the MVP conversation all of last year. He could have won it again this year. And the one knock on him has been, okay, well, you can be MVP or play at an MVP caliber level every year, but you don't have a championship.
Right.
So, yeah, they are one game away from closing it out, but I do think that the Suns, I think they'll take them to Game 7.
I do, too. I think that one's going 7. I thought that Philadelphia and Boston was going 7, too, and then Philly goes on the road last night to Boston, and they win 115-103. Joel Embiid, 33 points, 7 rebounds. Tyrese Maxey last night with 30 points as well.
Where did he go to school?
I'm just saying, he's pretty good. But what a win for the 76ers last night. Now they've got a chance going back home in Game 6 to close things out there. But 115-103, I'm pulling for Philadelphia because I think it's a better matchup for the Heat.
They look
pretty good last night.
Philly looked good. I mean, when you watched that game last night, and I was watching at an establishment, so there was no audio, but just looking and watching the body language of the two teams, Philadelphia looked so incredibly confident. James Harden is playing his best basketball. You mentioned Tyrese Maxey, a young guy who's been able to give them a lot of production out there. Of course, Joel Embiid, MVP this year. But Boston just looked like they were just chucking up shots left and right. They didn't look confident. They looked like they were playing almost with their heads down. And I just really liked everything from the shot selection from Philadelphia, just a full team effort, sharing the basketball. And honestly, we haven't seen a James Harden, postseason play like this in a while. And I mean, he looks really good. And I also think too, looking at the 76ers, Doc Rivers needs to be successful this year. I mean, they need to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, because if they don't, I have a feeling he probably won't be in Philadelphia much longer.
I think there's a good chance that may be the case. In the NHL last night, Carolina wins 6-1. And Michelle, you were talking, you looked up, it was 1-1 between Carolina and New Jersey. And then all of a sudden, the Hurricanes roll off 4 goals in like 4.5 minutes, and it's 5-1. In the second period. By the end of the second period, it was 6-1 last night. And, the Devils talking about not handling success the right way after they played well in Game 3, and they just stopped playing, basically, last night was the phrase that they used. But Carolina on the verge of advancing to the Eastern Conference Final with a 6-1 win last night against New Jersey. They're now up 3-1 in that series. And Dallas responds last night with a 6-3 win against the Kraken. So the Kraken go up 2-1 in that series. Dallas comes back on the road, and they win 6-3 last night. Joe Pavelski stays hot. He gets his 6th of the postseason last night, and that's a big win for the Stars. I think that one has a chance to go 7-2, but a really fun series between the Stars and the Kraken. The only bad part about it has been it's been late at night. So it's been tough to catch all of it.
It's been tough. We were watching the highlights early this morning, but to your point on the Hurricanes-Devils, I thought that the Devils – would have been able to tie up this series, especially at home. And, you mentioned after the game, they essentially were like, yeah, kind of stopped playing. It's like, okay, well, let's not admit that, Let's realize that we are in a New Jersey market with fans who are starving for some playoff wins. But I was watching, like I said, the Celtics 76ers on the TV in front of me, and then to the left of me was the Hurricanes and the Devils. And I see it's 1-1, okay, eating some food, watching basketball. All of a sudden I turn over, I said, are they replaying something over here? I said, wait, it was just 1-1. But yeah, as you mentioned, Hurricanes rattled off 4 goals in about 5 minutes or 4 minutes. So pretty good performance. I have a feeling the Canes will be able to close that one out, especially now that they're heading back home.
Big night tonight for Canada coming up in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Toronto and Florida in game number 4. The Panthers up 3-0 in the series with a chance to sweep the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, which, if that happens, that place is just going to be inconsolable. After you win the first round finally against Tampa Bay, and then Boston goes down in the East, and you think, man, that path has really opened up for Toronto. They were the betting favorite coming into this series to win the Stanley Cup, and they find themselves on the ropes, down 0-3, with a chance to be swept tonight by the Florida Panthers. I'm very interested to see that game. And then later tonight, Vegas and Edmonton at 9 o'clock. Edmonton down 2-1 to the Vegas Golden Knights. They were terrible in Game 3. I would expect them to play really well tonight. I mean, very rarely do you see McDavid and Draisaitl get shut down 2 games in a row. So I would expect that they'll probably respond tonight. But this has the potential to be just a nightmare night for the nation of Canada, with Toronto potentially being swept. And if Edmonton doesn't win, they'll be down 3-1 to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Grab your brooms, everyone. Start sweeping.
People getting very nervous out there.
Floor looks a little dirty. Let's get some dustpans out.
I think the Toronto's. I think they're done.
I think they're done too. I think you grab those brooms, everybody, sweep it up. Sorry, Toronto, and I feel bad for their fan base. Well, kind of.
I think it's absolutely hilarious.
I mean, we talked about this though, right? I mean, it is the perfect situation, right? Toronto, they come out of the first round. Okay, the Panthers, they beat the Bruins, the bad Bruins all year long. Oh, you got the matchup. Now you're the Stanley Cup favorites. Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, then you let all that get into your head, and now the Panthers are up 3-0 and have a chance to shut it out and then get some nice rest before they have to play their next series.
I'm interested to see how that one goes tonight. We'll see if the Oilers can respond as well. In the NBA tonight, like you said, Heat and Knicks in game number 5 tonight. Miami up 3-1 in that series. The Knicks favored. I think the Heat might close it out tonight.
I agree.
Lakers and Warriors, I think Golden State's going to win. I don't think they go down tonight. I think they'll be back in L.A. for Game 6. But LeBron and the Lakers with a big opportunity tonight. They can close this thing out and advance to the Western Conference Final. And if you can get it done tonight, if you're L.A., especially with the guys who are a little bit older, like LeBron, and I'm not saying that AD is old, but anytime you can get some rest is probably good for AD. So if you could get this done tonight, I fully believe that Suns and Nuggets are going to a Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
That would be pretty big for LA if they could get it done tonight and get some rest before that next series.
Yeah, that's the huge key right there. If LA can close this out tonight, I mean, for guys like LeBron and Anthony Davis, who they've been receiving treatment essentially around the clock just to be able to be game ready. I know Anthony Davis has had that hip injury kind of nagging all year long, but they closed out Memphis early, or it went to 6 games. So they closed out Memphis. They got time to rest before this Warriors series. That the Warriors went to 7 with the Kings. Lakers won Game 1. If they have a chance to close this one out in 5 and they have even more rest, and as you mentioned, I think that the Nuggets and the Suns will go to 7. I mean, that just puts them in better position. They can get their legs back under them. LeBron, you can get rehab, all that stuff. But I will say, I don't know if you saw this, but it's on my personal Twitter account. There has been a dog who essentially has predicted this Warriors-Lakers series. And the dog predicted that the Lakers will go up 3-1. Like, he shot basketballs into a specific, either a Lakers or a Warriors cup. He's predicted it exactly how it's gone so far. And if the Warriors win tonight, he'll be right. And he has the Warriors coming back and winning in 7.
Man.
So that dog.
So we're going with the dog.
If whoever owns that dog, you go buy a lottery ticket if that dog is right. So going to be interesting tonight.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll get back into the Titans, take your thoughts on them as well, and ask this question: how much will we learn about Mike Vrabel this season with a roster currently as constructed? We'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays. All the big stories.
If you're not ready to play in this league, you will lose. I don't care who you're playing.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Because I love the sport.
We played the way we needed to.
Why would he make that move?
360, he slams it home.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Now that you've taken on that big job, you shouldn't have to settle for the big box. You've earned a trip to Northern Tool, and we're ready for the details. We know all about the little things that make the biggest difference. Maybe that's why they call us a problem solver's paradise. From pressure washers to power tools, pallet jacks to push carts, Northern Tool and Equipment carries the brands you depend on, like North Star, DeWalt, Milwaukee, and Strongway. We're made for this. Come see us in store or shop online at northerntool.com.
golfers. Since 1968, Edwin Watts Golf Shops has been your go-to store for golf gear for Mother's Day. Come check out the latest in women's apparel, shoes, bags, balls, clubs, and more for the perfect gift for mom. This year, we're featuring ladies Callaway Reva sets for $100 off. Get mom custom fit for free today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Shop us in store or online at EdwinWattsGolfShops.com.
Want to enter the construction field as a career? Make good money and finish with no debt and earn while you learn. Average starting salary over $18 an hour. First year of college averages $10,000. 4 years of our Construction Trades Academy, a total of $800 to $9,600. Applications are open with first-year scholarships available. CTANash.com. ABC Greater Tennessee Construction Trades Academy. Apply today. CTANash.com.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUZ HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gutty performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Michelle Knezovic. Nick Frazier here with you on this Wednesday morning. Joe Rexrode out again today. We got a lot to get to for the rest of the show. We've got Preds general manager-to-be Barry Trotz coming up at 7:45, so looking forward to that conversation with him. Our weekly visit with Paul Koharski from paulkoharski.com at 8 o'clock, and then Luke Evangelista, Preds forward / Milwaukee Admirals forward, calling in at 8:30. So a lot to get to on that front today as well. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. So throwing this question out there to Titans fans. We know how last season ended. Titans lose 7 games in a row. There's a lot of injuries that they had to deal with. John Robinson gets fired, and now the transition with Rand Carthon taking over. Mike Vrabel maybe having a little bit more say, more power in the organization, and we've seen the offseason. They've addressed the offensive line, both in free agency and the draft. They've drafted Will Levis to be the quarterback of the future. Not much help on the wide receiver front to this point for the Titans. So I'm throwing this out there. I mean, you take a look at either betting sites or narratives around the league, and there's not a whole lot of people that expect the Titans to be very good next year. And some people have them being really bad and finishing near the bottom of the league. Some people have them right around the middle, where it's just where I kind of think they are at the moment, which is right around the middle. My question for you and my question for Titans fans is, what are we going to learn about Mike Vrabel this season? What is on the table in terms of the roster currently as set up with, as we've talked about, not much at the wide receiver position, a questionable offensive line, although they've made some moves there. How much will we learn about Mike Vrabel, the type of coach he is, and where this thing is headed with him at the helm this season?
I mean, I think a lot of the success of this season will depend on Mike Vrabel. I think that based off how well this team does, or if, Will Levis does get out there and he is successful, and maybe they're not winning, but the ownership sees that, okay, in 2024, that will be the new era of the Tennessee Titans football. Will Levis will be taking over, and we're building for then. But, the reality is they lost 7 straight games last year.
Yep.
And the fan base is not happy. I mean, I can't imagine the ownership is happy either. After losing 7 straight to end the season, you had a 90% chance to win the division. Your general manager gets fired. But in the offseason, it's been positive. You hire a new general manager. You make some free agent moves. You draft a quarterback in the draft. You're building a new stadium. There's a lot of positive momentum heading into this season. But, I mean, what fixes everything? Winning. Winning fixes everything. I think when you look at Mike Vrabel, there's going to be more heat and more attention thrown on him because at the end of the day, he is the head coach, and we do have to give some blame to him for the 7-game losing streak. I understand, right? Your starting quarterback was hurt. You were injured all over the place.
Yep.
And a lot of the blame went on injured players, went on John Robinson, and J-Rob was the scapegoat. But now, Rand Carthon has only been a part of this organization for less than 6 months. When things go wrong this year, Mike Vrabel will be the scapegoat.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about Carthon and Vrabel both tying themselves to Will Levis, and that's kind of a different discussion than now. But I agree with you. Like, the fan base is looking at this. Well, you're keeping Ryan Tannehill around, or at least we think you are at this point. You're keeping Derrick Henry around, or at least we think you are at this point. And you've lost 7 games in a row dating back to last year. Like, the fan base is going to want to see this team be competitive and going to want to see this team compete for the AFC South along with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So there's something to that. And look, we've talked about Vrabel before, elevating a team, right? You know, whether that's in Kansas City where you're totally outmanned and outgunned, and yet you find a way to take Kansas City down to the wire. We've seen the Titans before when they're shorthanded. You know, going back to the COVID game against Buffalo a couple of years ago, the Vrabel special, as we've talked it. Like, we've seen Mike Vrabel do those things a lot. I think Mike Vrabel is a really good coach. I still think Mike Vrabel is one of the top 5 to 10 coaches in the National Football League. Now, having said that, we've seen some really good coaches before kind of lose control and things start to go the other way, and then things happen and all of a sudden they're not the coach anymore. And I'm not saying that Vrabel's on the hot seat heading into this year, but you do enough losing, and I don't care who you are, that conversation starts to creep up if you're out there. So I do think we're going to find out, you know, exactly what he's got, what he's made of this year. I mean, the table is not necessarily set for them to be a team that is competing in the AFC, and I'm really interested to see what he can do with that. And Kaharski pointed this out on Twitter last night, and we'll ask him about this coming up at 8 o'clock too. Like we talked about, not a whole lot of people are going to be really high on the Titans this year. Vrabel can use things like that. We've seen him do that before. Can he do that this year with this group? Well, I just have to wait and see on that front. But it's going to be really interesting to kind of determine that part of it as well.
Yeah, Robbie. And also, Philip in Franklin on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, brings up an interesting point, and I think you'll be able to answer this better because you were here when Peter Laviolette was here. But his question is Vrabel sort of the Peter Laviolette of the NFL? His coaching style is very effective, but maybe it starts to rub people the wrong way as we get further into his tenure.
Maybe. I'm not saying that is a bad comparison because, look, I don't know. I'll be just to be straight up, I was around Peter Laviolette a whole lot more than I'm around Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can see some similarities there. Like, you know, they're very good at motivating players, kind of brash at times with the way they approach things. So I don't think it's a bad comparison. The one thing that I'll say that's different, like Peter Laviolette during his time here had a lot of the same guys on the team, and you're only talking about, you know, 20 given players in one time that's playing in a game. And, you know, Forsberg and Yossi and all these different guys were here for all of Peter Laviolette's tenure. Like, Vrabel's had a lot of turnover. Like, from the moment Vrabel got here, like, I mean, Tannehill came in his second year. You've had Jeffrey Simmons got drafted his second year. Like, there's been a lot of turnover. So, like, rubbing people the wrong way or, you know, wearing out your record or the I guess the voice going stale that we hear about with coaches a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know that I apply that to Vrabel because the room's just so different. Like, there's so many different people in there.
No, and I think that's a really good point, too, Robbie. I obviously wasn't here when Peter Laviolette was here, but the turnover that Mike Vrabel has had, and to that point, right, it has been the positive. Like, people have looked at the positive of what Mike Vrabel has been able to do with the amount of injuries, the amount of turnover, the drafting fails, because those mistakes have been, you know, put on J-Rab. But it was like Mike Vrabel can prevail. He can get this team ready every single Sunday, and he can get this team to be the number 1 seed and this team to win football games. That has always been the, okay, well, good guy Vrabel, bad guy J-Rob when it came to the mistakes and the failures of this team. But on the flip side now, when you get a new general manager in and Amy Adams Strunk decides to keep Vrabel, you look at this power dynamic and it's pretty clear, I think, that Mike Vrabel has more of a hand in the drafting and the construction of this team. So I think when you look at it now and moving forward, the things that we talked about or blamed John Robinson for, the blame is going to be shifted to Mike Vrabel if these things continue to happen because, you know, now his hand is is more in all of that, and he's playing a bigger role from a managerial standpoint.
Yep, for sure. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Justin. Justin, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Morning, Justin.
Good morning. Thanks. I actually have a Rand Carthon question, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So I like Rand. It seems like he knows how to operate good organizational health. I like that he calls and asks other teams about prices, that he collaborates, but it doesn't seem like he knows how to operate leverage. Do you think that that's valid, or if not, like, what do you think his weakness has been shown so far?
Yep, thanks for the call, Justin. Well, I think it's hard to say at this point. Now, obviously, we've talked about the draft part of this, right? In terms of, I think it was pretty clear that the Titans were targeting C.J. Stroud, and for whatever reason, that information got out that the Titans were targeting C.J. Stroud, and we saw what happened with the Texans. They take C.J. Stroud, and there's been multiple different reports on all that stuff. You know, Jared's brought this up a lot on his show. Why does information continue to come out, and why do things continue to be leaked? Whether that's the Kevin Byard stuff, whether it's the shopping Derrick Henry stuff, whether it's the draft stuff with C.J. Stroud, why does that continue to happen? Does that have anything to do with Rand Carthon? I don't know. I don't know, but I the leverage part of it, I think we're still pretty early in determining whether or not that's a weakness for Carthon and the Titans.
Yeah, I agree, Robbie. I mean, we haven't seen enough for him. We haven't even seen how one NFL draft can pan out. I mean, everybody was. And
on the other side of that, I thought they did an excellent job with the Jeffrey Simmons deal. I thought that was a great deal.
Yeah, so I mean, when you look at it from that standpoint, and don't you want your general manager to be looking at some of these longer contracts and these big contracts and be finding out, okay, what is their value around the league? I think so often this term shopping gets thrown around and people assume that, oh, well, Robbie, if we're shopping Rexrode on the show, that means we want him out of here. No, it means when you come in as a new general manager, you need to know what the value of all of your players are around the league. Because at the end of the day, I mean, these general managers and some head coaches, they're playing the game of trying to get the best group of players together, but also make it financially work, and the ability to maneuver it and manipulate the cap and everything like that. I mean, he needs to know, okay, what is Derrick Henry worth in the NFL to other teams? We know the value he is to this team, and we know the value Kevin Byard has inside this organization. But when I ask other people around the league, how do they think about that? And then that's what shopping comes from. It doesn't mean they're trying to trade him. I mean, maybe it does, but it means they're trying to get information from everybody else around the league to say, okay, if this were to come up, if this were to be an option down the line, what is he worth to other teams, and what could we get for him?
Let's quickly go back to the 102.5 The Game phone line and welcome in Chris. Chris, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Chris.
Hello, Chris. I think we've lost Chris. Oh. All right, we'll see if we can get Chris back on at another time. Let's go to Lee in Nashville on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Lee, good morning.
Hey, Lee.
Lee, are you there? All righty. We'll see if we can't get the phone line figured out what's going on there with Lee and Chris. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll continue this conversation. A lot of your thoughts on the text line as well that we'll get to coming up next. How much will we learn about Mike Vrabel this season as he enters into yet another season, both as head coach, but maybe with a little bit more power in the organization as well? That conversation continues next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The postseason is here. Whether it's the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs or the NBA, we have you covered on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
You don't have just an ordinary mom in your life. She's the best. Her work never stops. Her sacrifices are many. Her love is unfailing. This Mother's Day, Genesis Diamonds invites you to join us in celebrating and appreciating the mothers in our lives. Stop in and let one of our trusted advisors help you find a special, meaningful gift. Layering necklaces, stackable rings, eternity bands, pearls, elegant diamond pendants, and of course, stunning diamond earrings. Great Mother's Day ideas for any budget. There's no doubt we love Mom, but sometimes a little extra appreciation goes a long way as a thank you for helping us through challenges, making sacrifices, and always putting the family first. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, Mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary. And at Genesis, that's our specialty. Exquisite rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, heirloom pieces. Timeless gifts of jewelry that she can enjoy and cherish for decades to come, and always be reminded of how special she is to the family. Genesis Diamonds, online at genesisdiamonds.net.
Do you love sports, and are you passionate about helping local businesses and your community grow? Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and let me tell you, the best attributes of working with us on our sales team at 1025 The Game include the ability to build relationships with local businesses, craft effective advertising campaigns, and the potential for high earnings. If you have excellent communication skills, think creatively, and have the drive to succeed, just shoot us an email with your resume at together@cromwellmedia.com. That's together at cromwellmedia.com.
Hi, hon. Want to tag along to the grocery store with me?
Sure, but I just filled up the car with gas, and with those prices, we gotta be careful with groceries.
It's crazy. All the basic staples have gotten so expensive. But good news. Tina told me about this great app called Upside that pays you back big time just for using it. She said with the Upside app, she earned serious cash back on groceries and gas.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that we can actually get paid back real cash when we use the Upside app to buy gas and groceries?
Yep. Tina said they made around $200 already.
Whoa, finally something that pays us back money instead of costing us more. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas and groceries. Cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ESPN3 to save an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. Remember, use code ESPN3 to save an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah. And like us on Facebook, too. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Join 1025, 1063 The Game this Friday for the grand opening of the new Dunkin' in Cane Ridge, located at 191 Burkett Commons Avenue. The first 100 guests will receive free coffee for a year at the Cane Ridge location. Yes, free coffee for a year at the Cane Ridge location only, and we'll be on site doing ticket giveaways from 7 to 9 a.m. Looking forward to that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We are live from our 1025 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Talking Titans, let's go back to our 1025 The Game phone line and welcome in Chris. Chris, do we have you? Are you there?
I think. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Good morning, Chris.
Phenomenal. Thanks for taking my call. I just had a question about the Titans' future and the whole drafting Will Levis. Do you think the new stadium that's coming in a couple of years is affecting their decision one way or the other to try and have a successful season versus trying to rebuild right now? I'll hang up and listen. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thanks for the call, Chris. We appreciate it. I mean, that's not the first time I've heard that question. And, look, don't get me wrong. I think that in a perfect world, Amy Adams-Strunk, Mike Vrabel, Rand Carthon would all love that by the time this new stadium comes around that the Titans are really good and that they're competing for a Super Bowl. Do I think that's why they're making moves right now? No. I mean, they're not opening up the stadium until 2027. So we still got a ways to go before the stadium gets here. Look, in the NFL, Will Levis may not even be the quarterback in 2027. Like, if you're the Titans, you hope that he is and that you've made the right decision and that he's your guy when the new stadium opens up. And, if he is and he does well, that probably means good things for Mike Vrabel and good things for Rand Carthon. But 4 years in the NFL is a long time. Like, there's a lot of things that could happen in the NFL over that span. So I understand the question, and I agree. Like, the Titans, in a perfect world, they want to be a good team, and they want to be competing for a Super Bowl by the time they open up the new stadium. I don't think that's influencing the way that they're making decisions right now.
I mean, I also think they want to be a good team now. I can't really imagine Mike Vrabel being okay with, coaching a team he knows that isn't going to win games. I understand he probably looks at the roster now and he looks at the wide receiver core and he's like, this is going to be tough, but hopefully we fix the offensive line. I mean, we talk all the time about, are they tanking this year to then try to be in good draft? I just can't see Mike Vrabel wanting to coach a team that's tanking. I really can't. So, when you look at, are they in this weird transition of a rebuild, but also not a rebuild because Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and Kevin Byard are all still on the team? What does that mean? They're kind of in both at the same time, right? They're trying to still be a good team, but they're drafting for the future in a guy like Will Levis and Tajay Spears. So what does that really mean? I just think that it means that they want to win now and they still want to be a good team, but they also want to set themselves up for in a couple years. Yeah, of course, being good when that stadium opens. But as you mentioned, Robby, 4 years in the NFL is such a long time.
Well, you're hoping you're good before then. Like, if you're drafting Will Levis right now, you're not waiting around till 2027 to make a decision on that. Like, you're going to know with Will Levis whether or not he's the guy you're building around by the time that new stadium opens.
I mean, they drafted Malik Willis last year, and it looks like they already knew that he wasn't the guy by, honestly, I believe when they brought Josh Dobbs in.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they clearly made that known. Of course, he's still on the roster, and, he's coming in with the mentality, probably a chip on his shoulder of, okay, you replace me with Josh Dobbs at the end of the season, then you go ahead and you draft a guy like Will Levis. But I think that they've already made it clear that, okay, Will Levis is the guy that we hope can be our franchise quarterback someday. And, hopefully he will for them because, of course, you want to see them succeed. But will he? I don't know. And will his success, determine Mike Vrabel's future, Rand Carthon's future with this team?
Well, I was going to pose a question to Robby and you, Michelle, about, evaluating Vrabel in this team. Do you hold it against him with the A.J. Brown trade? And also, do you also hold it against him with the Harold Landry? If Harold Landry doesn't pan out with his giant contract, like if that doesn't all work out, does that, I guess, get held against Vrabel in the process of evaluating him?
I don't think so. I mean, J-Rob was the GM for both of those, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was clear Vrabel was not on board with the A.J. Brown trade.
No.
Right.
I think that is, judging by his reaction, some comments before the trade, he wanted nothing to do with the A.J. Brown trade. And look, we said this at the time, and I think it's even more clear now, and it could become more clear as this season goes on. We may look back 3-4 years down the road, and the A.J. Brown trade is like the line of demarcation for the trajectory of the franchise. Like, you're the number one seed, you had a stud wide receiver, and you botched it. Like, you botched that negotiation and traded him. And everybody sees it now. It was a huge mistake, and it cost John Robinson his job. I can't hold that against Vrabel. Like, I think that was a J-Rob thing. The Landry contract, I think, is a J-Rob thing. Now, I'm sure Vrabel wanted to keep Harold Landry around. The last time we saw Harold Landry, he looked really good, and, it was kind of a freak ACL thing last year. It's important that he comes back in, number one, is healthy, number two, stays healthy, and number three, is productive, because part of why we're relying on thinking that defense could be pretty good is because we're expecting him to be back and to pick up where he left off. If he doesn't pick up where he left off, or if it's not even close to where he left off, then this Titans team might have a hard time rushing the passer next year, and that's not good. We've seen what that looks like on that defense before.
Yeah, Robby, I'm on the same page with you. I don't hold the A.J. Brown thing against Mike Vrabel. I think it was clear in the moment. You see the video of when the trade actually happened. and he has to walk away. I think the comments that he made prior, the comments that he made after was on the Rich Eisen show, something about, who are we going to throw the ball to, or something along those lines.
During Ed Werder on the side of the field in the Kansas City game.
Ed Werder, yes. So he's made little comments here and there that I think have, solidified that. I think also Vrabel knows that the amount he meant to this organization, and when you find a guy like that who you drafted in the second round, you do everything you can to keep a wide receiver like that. As far as the Harold Landry thing, I mean, he was coming off his best season ever. I think he had double-digit sacks, and everybody, it was, oh, you got to pay Harold Landry. If you don't, that's a huge mistake. He's such a key to your defense. So he gets the contract, and then unfortunately, it was like OTAs or something. He tears his ACL. I mean, you can't avoid that. It's football. Things happen. These guys are athletes, but to your point, Nick, does he need to come back and does he need to be efficient coming off that injury? Yeah, of course. But I don't put that on Mike Vrabel, because in the moment, if Harold Landry was coming off that double-digit sack season and how successful he was, and they didn't give him a contract, I would think, what the heck are you doing? He's such a huge component to your defense. And he also was a guy who never was injured. I mean, the conversation around Harold Landry was, he's on the field every single game. He's so durable for this team. And then, of course, he does tear his ACL, but he was never a guy that you had to worry about with soft tissue injuries, his availability. And you just hope that he can come. I mean, it'll be over a year by the time he steps on the field for the first time in a season this year that he's off his ACL. You hope that, he rehabs and comes back, but I don't put either of those on Mike Vrabel, honestly. I put more of the decisions moving forward on him.
Okay. Yeah.
Like drafting Will Levis.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I better say that might be the more route to look at, because I'm not a guy that, goes in for the $100 million deal, fat and happy contract. I'm just not that kind of guy. I'm all for getting paid, but at the same time, there's that just hesitation of worry. Like, are you going to be efficient? But yeah, I agree with you, Michelle. The next thing would be the Will Levis stuff.
I got a texter that says, if Vrabel is tied to Levis, why wouldn't he set him up to succeed by getting him weapons at wide receiver? And how different do you look at the wide receiver room if Burke steps up and Phillips stays healthy? I think the one thing to keep in mind about the wide receiver room as it relates to Levis, like the wide receiver room for 2023 and the wide receiver room as it relates to Will Levis, to me, are two different things.
Yeah, I agree.
Like for 2023, the wide receiver room ain't looking great. For Will Levis, assuming that Ryan Tannehill is going to play this year, which right now that is the assumption that I'm walking on. We'll see what happens on that front. But they have time to build around Will Levis and to get him weapons. Right now in 2023, those weapons are not there. To answer the second part of the question, if Burke steps up and Phillips can stay healthy, then yes, I do feel different and feel better about the wide receiver room. They still need somebody else. Like, they still need another person on the outside there to go along with those two, and that's at both of them to me. Like, even if Treylon Burks is best case scenario and Kyle Phillips is best case scenario, I still think you need somebody else better on the outside than they've got right now, in addition to those guys, than Nick Westbrook-Akine or Chris Moore that they brought in. Yeah, I mean, or Racing Math. Like, you need eventually somebody else to go along with that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We've got Barry Trotz coming up at 7:45. Looking forward to that conversation with him. Paul Koharski at 8. Luke Evangelista at 8:30. Coming up next, it is time for the Rob Rant here on Robby and Rexrode. We will do that next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Friday night.
Propelled to the top of the left circle. They score!
The Milwaukee Admirals open up the second round in the AHL playoffs against the Texas Stars. Follow the future Preds here. Coverage begins at 7 on your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Get a great deal on one of the most versatile tractors in the industry, the Kubota BX, which is part of Kubota's tractor lineup rated #1 in durability and owner experience. Stop by Krebs Kubota today and bring home select BX series equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 72 months, plus save up to $800. Now through June 30th, see Krebs Kubota or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer. Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Online at KrebsKubota.com.
Music City will be rocking June 23rd through the 25th with a different sound, the sound of NASCAR.
Start your engine!
The Ally 400 is back at Nashville Superspeedway, and this year, it's a night race. NASCAR in Nashville. It's guitars and fast cars under the lights. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to get your tickets for the triple header weekend, including the Ally 400, Tennessee Lottery 250, and the Rackley Roofing 200 today.
This is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. For most of us, sex is a big part of our relationship. So when something like erectile dysfunction starts affecting intimacy, it can be a real problem. But what you may not know is that ED doesn't just affect you, it can be tough on your partner as well. Plus, if you have ED, you know how it can make you feel. The truth is, we see a lot of guys who have depression, frustration, and even relationship issues because of ED. But we don't want ED to impact you or the one you love anymore. The Tennessee Men's Clinic tackles ED. Our urologists and medical providers take a comprehensive approach and have treated thousands of men with treatments that are successful in nearly 90% of cases. Even if your hormones are off, or if pills, wave therapy, or other treatments have left you hanging, the Tennessee Men's Clinic will work hard to help you get your sex life back, perhaps performing like you haven't in a long time. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices in Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code ESPN17 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code ESPN17. Use code ESPN17 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
A show that lives and breathes sports.
Focus in, focus in, focus in.
From the SEC.
Credit to the Alabamas, the Georgias, and the Ohio States of the world.
To the Preds.
They've been in a lot of really tight games, but they're not winning enough of them.
To the Titans.
He's talking about what this franchise has built over the years.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace.
What is this? Check it out.
Weekdays from 11 to 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. It's that time of the day, time for the Rob Rant. Normally it's 7:45, but Barry Trott's dropping by at 7:45 today, so moving it up a little bit early today. And Michelle, there's something that is happening tomorrow.
I knew where you're going with this.
It amazes me every year that this is the case, but people just freak out over the NFL schedule release. And we talked about it earlier. I will say the international games are a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a little bit more patience, I guess is the right word, for the excitement over that, because we knew that it was going to be a London game for the Titans this year.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it going to be against? When was it going to be? And it was announced this morning that the Titans will take on the Ravens at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on October the 15th. So Titans and Ravens in London, that's cool. I think that's awesome, and a lot of people are going to want to go to that over in London. So, being able to determine exactly when that is fine. But aside from that, like the NFL schedule release day and just the attention that gets paid to it and the hype that's around it is amazing to me. And I know the NFL is king in this country, and it's by far the most popular sport and gets the most reaction, all that stuff. But it's like, guys, like if you're a Titans fan, you already know who you're playing next year. Like, you know that you are playing Houston, Indy, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Baltimore, which is the London game, Carolina, Cincinnati, the Chargers, and the Seahawks all at home. You know those are the home games next year. You know that the Colts, Jaguars, and Texans are on the road again. You play them twice. And you're also going to Cleveland, to Miami, to New Orleans, to Pittsburgh, and to Tampa Bay. So we've known that for a long time. Like, we know what the opponents are for next year. So why there's this fascination over the schedule is just hilarious to me. It's like, we already know who the opponents are, but now we know that the Titans and the Bucs are playing on November 12th or whatever it is. It's like, oh, great. That's awesome. I appreciate it. But this fascination every year with the NFL schedule release, I think Taylor Lewan tweeted this out the other day too, like, why is the NFL schedule release such a big deal? It's amazing to me. It does highlight just how big of a monster the NFL is, and it dominates every part of the offseason, whether it's from the draft or the combine or minicamp or even something as simple and as trivial as a schedule release of teams that we already know what the opponents are going to be. I just find it very funny. And here we are about a little bit more than 24 hours away from the schedule actually being released, and I saw some people even last night, both on Packers Twitter and on Titans Twitter, like, hey, guys, only a couple of days until the schedule's released out there. Just really excited about it. I'm like, okay. I mean, look, I guess if you're wanting to go watch the Titans play in Miami, or you're wanting to go watch the Titans play in Tampa or whatever it is, like, it's good to know when the date is. But, like, beyond that, the schedule release stuff is just amazing to me, how excited people get over this stuff.
Well, I hope that at 9 to 11, Junie will be joining me on Chase and Michelle today, and he is very much a proponent of, he is so incredibly hype for schedule release, and has been telling me about it for about a month now.
Yeah.
But we all know that he is a diehard NFL fan. Like in it, like everything. But I think it goes back to the point, Robbie, of everything surrounding the NFL is such a production and such an announcement and drives viewership and drives fans.
I mean, I'll give them credit. They know what they're doing.
Everything. I mean, think about how many months we can fill sports talk radio airwaves, national TV airwaves, the conversation on Twitter about who will be the most successful college quarterback in the NFL? Who will be the first non-quarterback off the league? Is Jalen Carter a top 10 pick? You know, he's not visiting any team out of the top 10. Like, it is actually crazy that you can take any piece of the NFL that's not even actually a game. Yeah. Not even a game. Nothing that has to do with on-the-field play, and make it a story, make it drive revenue, make it drive an audience. I mean, it really is incredible.
I just I get it that there's a scheduling aspect involved to it, so I understand that part. But, like, I guess the excitement is the one thing I don't understand. Like, you already know who they're playing. We already know what the opponents are. That's the thing that is
people get
mind-boggling
excited to take off work and plan trips
I
to
get
go.
It. I get it. Let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Adam in Portland. Adam, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, so I've been a season ticket member for a long time, and number one, it started whenever I was like in junior high school. I would get the schedule and I would get it in the paper and I would go through, and I would always end up like 14-2, 15-1 when I'm doing the Titans, just because I'm nuts. But no, I would do that with my friends. Like we would talk about the game. It would give you something to talk about, but then like as a ticket holder, it like you said, Robbie, it helps you plan a little bit. Everybody I know knows that I have season tickets, so I'm usually their ticket person if they're trying to go.
Right.
And so they're like, we plan 5 months worth of, planning trips around my schedule and who's going to what game, and which is really irritating to knock all that out in like a day or two. But yeah, no, like it's a big deal for that reason for me. I get the schedule and I usually get bombarded. So
okay,
I don't know if that's for everybody, but that's why it is in my house.
All right, thanks for the call, Adam.
Thanks,
I get that. Like, look, the planning part of it, I get. Right. Anyway, I said it earlier. Like, if you're a Titans fan and you want to go to Miami this year, okay, cool. Well, it's good to know when that game's taking place and you can plan your trip around that. We got somebody texting in on the text line about like weddings. Like, there's a bunch of weddings in the fall, so knowing like when the schedule comes out is
don't do that.
Really good.
If you have friends who like sports or just anybody who's very close to you, it'll just be easier if you just wait until football season.
I'm a big time offender of that. We got married on the day of the Tennessee-Kentucky game and the Alabama-LSU game between Joe Burrow and Tua.
Oh my goodness!
A lot of people watching the Alabama-LSU game at the wedding, which
I got a friend's wedding second weekend in October, and it's international, and I'm like, this is gonna be tough. That's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to plan around. I get that. I'm not it doesn't bother me that people are excited about making plans. It's just
I agree.
Oh my goodness, the Titans are playing the Dolphins on November 15th.
Yeah, we already knew that.
Okay.
Grab your popcorn.
We knew that they were playing the Dolphins on the road. It's just one of those things.
I do like Adam's point, though, of, going through, which we already can go through, the games. I know we don't know which week they're playing who, but you can already go through the games and, highlight, okay, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. I guess it's easier after the draft because you kind of see a bigger picture of these teams.
Yep.
But that always is one of my favorite parts. And then looking back at the end of the season, and I'm like, whew, I was so bad. I think I had the Tennessee at 11-6 last year. I think that was my preseason prediction.
I had them 10-7, and when they were 7-3, I felt great about it.
Yeah, you felt great. You're like, yeah, and then that was
7-10.
turning of the tides.
Not good. I got a text that says, you talked earlier about the NFL international schedule. I'm not sure I'd be a fan if I was a season ticket holder. One less possible home game, meaning the cost per game just went up. And that is the case for the Titans this year. The Baltimore Ravens game in London is technically a home game for the Tennessee Titans.
That's tough.
So I guess it's cool if you're going, if you want to go to London, watch a game over there and have that experience, it's cool for the people doing that. But if you're not, and you are losing out on a home game if you're a season ticket holder.
And a game against the Ravens, which that has been a fun matchup between the two teams these last couple of years. Yeah, that's tough, right? And, to decide to go to London for the game, that's a huge financial investment.
Yep.
Along with, season tickets are a huge financial investment, and the price is going up for them because of the new stadium. So, to do both and then also to lose that home game, that's tough. It is tough, especially since it's against the Ravens.
Robert in Nashville says, hotels need to know whether to charge $700 a night or $900 a night when the schedule comes
How about $700 or $1,500?
Yeah.
Some hotels here lately, you can't even – I tried to get one for a friend during CMA Fest.
Yeah.
Whew.
I saw some of the prices around here when Taylor Swift was in town this past weekend. I would have stayed anywhere else.
Not in Nashville.
I'd have drove from Chattanooga.
Bowling Green.
It's good gracious.
Gas is cheaper. Yeah, it really is insane, though. But to Robert's point, he's so right. These cities – if you have some inside source, and I know that
some
Donna
Buffalo
Kelce.
Bills team coming in.
Yeah, right, drinking all the beer. I know Donna Kelce posted on Facebook yesterday about when the Eagles and the Chiefs play each other.
Yeah.
And people were like, Donna, you can't do that. She did it 2 days before, which I just think is so funny that she posted that and let the cat out of the bag. But New Year's Eve, I will say, I am excited. Bengals Chiefs.
Yeah, that got leaked, so we'll see what happens then. But that could be a good one. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Barry Trotz, Predators general manager to be. Looking forward to that conversation with him. Make sure you tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball tonight at 6:35 on 94.9 The Fan. Sounds taking on the Gwinnett Stripers, AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
We are your home for every big pass.
Chase Elliott will pick up the stage 1 win.
Big wreck.
Joey Logano gets turned. He's hard into the inside wall.
And big win.
Kyle Busch has won here at the Talladega Superspeedway.
Catch every lap of NASCAR on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
In football, we all take our hits, but protection, that keeps you in the game. That's why I always wear a helmet and pads on the field. Life, too, comes with risks. So I got vaccinated and boosted for COVID-19. Hi, this is former Tennessee Titans tackle Brad Hopkins. Talk to your doctor. Get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Protect yourself and your family against COVID-19.
For more information, go to nflagearup.org/Tennessee.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. #MyClientsLoveMe. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
You don't have just an ordinary mom in your life. She's the best. Her work never stops. Her sacrifices are many. her love is unfailing. This Mother's Day, Genesis Diamonds invites you to join us in celebrating and appreciating the mothers in our lives. Stop in and let one of our trusted advisors help you find a special, meaningful gift. Layering necklaces, stackable rings, eternity bands, pearls, elegant diamond pendants, and of course, stunning diamond earrings. Great Mother's Day ideas for any budget. There's no doubt we love Mom, but sometimes a little extra appreciation goes a long way as a thank you for helping us through challenges, making sacrifices, and always putting the family first. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, Mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary. And at Genesis, that's our specialty. Exquisite rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, heirloom pieces. Timeless gifts of jewelry that she can enjoy and cherish for decades to come, and always be reminded of how special she is to the family. Genesis Diamonds, online at genesisdiamonds.net.
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. And it's also a vital service that provides important emergency information when your community needs it most. Tell Congress you need AM radio to stay in your car. Because when cell phones and the internet are down, this free emergency service is critical. And when you don't have electricity, radio in the car is often your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tonight on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
It's a big game 5 between my Lakers and the Warriors. Can LeBron and AD close it out?
It'll be another opportunity for us to continue to grow as a ball club. So I think we'll be ready.
Or would the Splash Brothers live to fight another day?
Protect our home court, so that's all you can do right now.
Coverage begins at 8:30 tonight.
Your home for the NBA playoffs is 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Call TJ's team today to see why they're referred to so often. We'll have Paul Koharski from paulkoharski.com coming up at 8 o'clock. Luke Evangelista joining the program at 8:30. So looking forward to all that coming up on the show here today. And the Predators hosting the NHL Draft coming up later this summer at Bridgestone Arena as well. And we are just about to be joined by Barry Trotz, Predators general manager to be. Matter of fact, let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Barry Trotz. Barry, good morning. How you doing?
Morning, Barry.
Good morning. Good morning.
Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So, Barry, we were just talking about the draft. The lottery takes place the other night. You guys land at number 15 overall, and you have another first-round pick with wherever Edmonton finishes. So what's the process been like for you all preparing for the draft and everything that goes along with that to this point?
Well, it's been a really good process. Actually, we just started with reevaluating our own draft, where our prospects are, where they are in terms of their development, and some of the look at some of the holes that we may see in the future, maybe in the next 3 or 4 years in terms of holes that we may be able to address during this draft. So we started with that process, and then the scouts have been really diligent at putting together a master list of the and order of the this coming draft. So no matter what, I think we're going to get a really good player.
Barry, we're going to have Luke Evangelista coming up a little bit later in the show, and obviously a really exciting series last week for Milwaukee as they take down Manitoba and move on to take on the Texas Stars. What's just kind of been your interest level in terms of the young guys that finished the season with you all that have now gone back down there with Milwaukee, and how important do you think a long run in the AHL playoffs could be for them as they continue to try to kind of form together as that next core for your group?
I think it's going to be really important. I talked about in my own press conference when I'm looking for serial winners in our organization. It starts in the minor league. It starts in junior. It starts with that. I've learned over my time as a coach that you get players, especially young players who've gone on those long runs, win the Calder Cup in the American Hockey League. A lot of those players are able to take the next step at the National Hockey League level, and then hopefully, that core continues to roll on, and they hopefully, eventually win a Stanley Cup. But it is a huge development tool, if you will, those long runs in the Hockey League, because you're under a lot of pressure, just like you are in the National Hockey League. The players grow. Those little plays, those little moments are so crucial for them to understand, so they can have success at the next level.
Barry Trott's with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So, Barry, you talked about the status of John Hines at the end of the season press conference, and he's under contract, but some evaluation still needs to take place. Where are you at in terms of the evaluation of John Hines, and is there any news on what his status looks like for next year?
No, exactly what I said at the press conference. I'm going to evaluate. I think John did a terrific job, as I said. When I came on, we sort of moved 4 players at the trade deadline. He lost 8 players to injury, and he continued to, forge on with the group. And what I like about what John did is he just coached the group that he had. And I know John and his staff are good coaches. I sat in their meetings. I listened to them. I understand what they're doing. So with John, I just said, from my perspective, everybody is going to be evaluated, and also I'm going to evaluate other organizations too. So if I can improve in any aspect of our organization, be it coaching or development, I'm going to try to do that. But I can tell you the staff is a really good staff. They know what they're doing, and I have a lot of trust in them.
Barry Trotz joins us right now. Barry, when you look at a guy like Cody Glass, who had to take on a bigger role this year, especially after the trade deadline and different players getting injured, what is something you're looking to see from him in this offseason to hopefully, be a guy who can play a top center position for you someday?
Well, I think with Cody, if you know his history, he's had a number of setbacks as a young player. He had a major knee injury during COVID, and was sort of, here you are, an 18, 19-year-old man. You're in a different country during COVID. You can't go see your family. The ability to get the training that you needed, especially with the injury that he did have, was very minimal. So I think he's a little bit behind in terms of his natural growth curve, but he's catching up very quickly. And what you see with him last year, number one, he started getting his confidence back. Number two, he started to believe in himself and started playing against, I'll say, more regular top-line guys out of necessity, and he fared well. He's over at the World Championships representing Canada, and they had an exhibition game last night, and he got a hat trick. So all those little moments, I can go back to a game in Calgary when we were, he was in a shootout. He was the last guy in the shootout, if you will, season on the line, and he came through. So all those little moments for him are building his confidence, and as he builds his body as a young man, turning into a mature young man, I think you're going to see some real good things from Cody.
Barry Trotz is with us right now. Barry, obviously this is your, first time being in that manager kind of standpoint as you begin your transition into general manager. But of course, you've coached in this league for so many years. How is this time of the year, May, we're gearing up for the NHL draft that's actually going to be in our backyard here in Nashville. How is this time of year just different from you? You've been a coach in May, kind of the off season, getting ready for the draft, but how is it different from, transitioning into that manager standpoint?
Well, I think as a coach, you just manage the players, and you're married to the schedule, and so you have a certain rhythm. I think as a general manager, you're married to the situation. The situation right now is I'm sitting in the meetings with our scouts all day, listening to the different players that they may be looking to draft. As a coach, you don't really do that. You usually come in on the back end when they've already got their lists made. You sort of know what your group is going to take in terms of players, because they have them grouped. They have an idea of 6, 7 players are going to be in that area where they draft. So you sort of come in on the back end. I'm coming in on the front end, watching the whole process, listening to the whole process. So it's just a little different, but at the same time, it's very informative. And I don't think I have enough hours in a day to cover everything some days.
Barry Trotz is with us here on Robby and Rexrode. Barry, the playoffs have been really entertaining to this point, and as you know, as a coach, the game is evolving all the time. When you watch the playoffs now, and you look at some of the teams that are having success, and trying to visualize what that looks like for your group as you build your team moving forward, how do you think the game has evolved over the course of the past couple of years, and what's most important in your mind now to have success once playoff time rolls around?
Well, I think, the game has gone to obviously a lot more speed and skill. It's a lot younger, and so you see the goals going up. That is twofold, I think. Number one is the players are so skilled now they can make some tremendous plays, and more players are scoring threats. Two, I think the players are younger, and because they have such great skill, they trust their skill, but they don't understand sometimes the risk reward yet, as maybe a more mature player would. And so there's a few more turnovers, a few more, you're not being patient and just, grinding through the next minute, waiting for your opportunity. I think teams are trying to force things. I watch teams now. There's a lot of blowouts, and I just think what's happening is, from a standpoint, is when a team gets behind, they even get more risky, and all of a sudden it just blows up in their face real quick, because you see goals come, 3 goals really quickly, because teams try to get it back. If they're down 2 goals, they're trying to get those 2 goals back in the next 2 minutes, rather than, hey, let's just get one, in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, then we'll get the next one and sort of inch your way, pull yourself back in. They go from being in a game to out of the game very quickly. So that's just patience. That might be some maturity. That's puck decision. So that's the price sometimes you pay with young players that are highly skilled.
Well, Barry, really looking forward to the draft coming up. We appreciate so much you taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Barry.
All right, take care.
Absolutely. Predators General Manager Barry Trotz, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans. Take your thoughts as well, like I said, on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
All the big plays.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
All the big stories.
The Titans' window to contend is however long Derrick Henry stays Derrick Henry.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Gets it back and scores.
Our execution was good.
They have not found their groove.
It's always great to win in this league. It's tough to win.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you looking to take ownership in a position that will support your growth and development? We are an excavation and site utilities contractor. Several things set us apart from our competition, but we take the most pride in the professional development of our people. We have multiple openings for operators, pipe layers, and laborers. Our pay and benefits are second to none, including our 401k program. Apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
Go golfers since 1968. Edwin Watts Golf Shops has been your go-to store for golf gear for Mother's Day. Come check out the latest in women's apparel, shoes, bags, balls, clubs, and more for the perfect gift for mom. This year, we're featuring ladies' Callaway Reva sets for $100 off. Get mom custom fit for free today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Shop us in store or online at EdwinWattsGolfShops.com.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
Broken bricks, falling fences, damaged doors, Gorilla Glue. Of course. It's incredibly strong and 100% waterproof and bonds, well, virtually everything. While you're at it, look for Gorilla Tape, a heavy-duty double-thick duct tape, and Gorilla Super Glue, great for all your quick fixes and repairs. There's also Gorilla Epoxy, Gorilla Wood Glue, Gorilla Construction Adhesive. Of course. You get it. If you can break it, Gorilla can fix it. For the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robby and Rexrode. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willie, D-Base.
Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Cranks it, he scores! On both sides of the one big possession.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Michelle Knesvik, Nick Fraser here with you on this Wednesday morning. Joe Rexrode is out again today. We are talking Titans, and to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Paul Kuharsky from PaulKuharsky.com. PK, good morning. How you doing?
Morning, PK.
I'm well, guys. How you doing?
We're great. Thanks for taking time to be with us. PK, Mike Herndon of your site at PaulKuharsky.com had a really interesting thread on Twitter yesterday just about the offensive line, and are we maybe being a little bit too presumptuous that the offensive line is going to be improved or significantly improved next season? We know that they've made a lot of moves on the offensive line, but I guess the quality of those moves, how concerned do you think that maybe Titans fans should be that maybe we're jumping the gun a little bit on how good that offensive line can be?
And he will expand on that thinking in a column that I will post as soon as we say goodbye.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think he raises a good point. You know, the thinking is they needed new people, and you know, I think because they got 4 new people, everybody expects that they'll be better, and certainly those new people can't be as bad as Dennis Daly, so there's a sense of relief there, and it's a big contrast to what they have not done at wide receiver, where they have not brought in new people. So we're built to feel better about that. But Dillard, there's a downside to each one of those guys, as he points out. Dillard, Skoronski he likes, and understandably so, and he may be the best guy on the line. But Dillard didn't play in Philadelphia very much in 4 years as a number one pick. Brunskill, got beat out last year and wasn't playing in San Francisco. So you have some concern there. Duncan, the new pick, is a raw guy who is a later round draft pick who is a depth guy, and he's no guarantee, but he's not in line to start on this line anyway. So new bodies for sure, and then you've got a new coach, Jason Hoteling, who was an assistant coach to a coach that everybody hated, and is not new blood from the outside or anything like that. So, I mean, there is a recipe there where it's not a guaranteed better thing. So I do think, it's a smart warning that we need to be cautious on expectations there.
PK, obviously we know with J-Rob gone and Mike Vrabel stepping into perhaps a bigger role in terms of decision-making, we know what kind of a coach he is. I think all of us agree that he's a really good coach in the NFL. But as you look at this group this year and where they're at right now with their roster, how much do you think we're going to learn about Mike Vrabel and the type of coach that he is heading into this season with this roster?
Well, I think we know very much what he is defensively. I think a couple of the biggest things we're going to learn. One, 3 years in a row of bad injuries. Look, I've been on his side on the injuries. If a guy goes out and tears his ACL on the Thursday or the Friday before the season opener at practice, like Harold Landry did, I think that's huge bad luck. But I think if they have a third year of bad luck, it's hard not to say that there's something to that. And I don't think it's the strength and conditioning coach or the staff necessarily. I think a lot of people are way too casual about that. Fire those guys and that'll fix everything. But I think there's if Vrabel doesn't find ways to improve that, and there's a 3-year run of that he won't have done enough to resolve it in some way, shape, or form. And then offensively, Arthur Smith was a home run for him. LaFleur wasn't great, but that was the first year, and Downing was bad. So he needs very badly for Tim Kelly and Charles London to be excellent. And, it's exciting to hear Ryan Tannehill talk about just how different this offense is going to be. I have doubts about the personnel who are going to execute that offense, but can Mike Vrabel install people on the offensive side and guide them to do something that's bigger and better?
Paul Kaharski from Paul Kaharski joins us now. Paul, looking at Christian Fulton, and he's in a contract year. We know the comments that Mike Vrabel made about the repeat offender last year with him and David Long Jr. with those hamstring injuries. How important do you think this season is for Christian Fulton?
I think it's massive. I mean, I would put the odds on Christian Fulton getting a deal next year at under 50%. At this stage, and not just because of the things you mentioned, Michelle, but because the Titans don't re-sign a great deal of guys. But, I think he needs to have a big year and a healthy year to put himself in any kind of position where they would, break from their tradition of not re-signing guys to bring him back as an anchor corner for that group. It'd be nice for them to carry some continuity. He's a pretty good player, and it would be nice for them to have some carryover at that spot. But the fact of the matter is he's in one of those positions, like for him to be affordable for them, and they have a lot of money next year, but for him to be affordable in what they think he's worth next year, he'd probably have to not be great this year if he's great this year, the market will probably price him out of what they think he's worth.
I know we talk a lot about the concerns with the offense, and the hope is that the defense will be great like they were at the beginning of last season. But I look at this defense, Paul, and I think, okay, you hope Amani Hooker's healthy. You hope Christian Fulton's healthy. Elijah Molden played 2 games last year. Harold Landry's coming off that ACL injury. Jeffrey Simmons was hurt last year. And the list goes on and on and on. When you take a look at this defense, what do you think just heading into this season as kind of an overview of it?
I think you got to get what they had really 2 years ago, where you can get to the quarterback rushing 4, and then that takes care of everything. So I think the defense, to a large degree, is going to be keyed. No offense to Arden Key, but by what Harold Landry can do a year removed from an ACL, and it's a better scenario. It's a better ACL scenario because he's a full year removed. On opening day, he'll be a full year removed. But still, you want to be 2 years removed, ideally. But if they can line up with Landry and Key at the outside linebacker positions, with Simmons and Autry healthy in the middle, then and those guys can get to the quarterback and put steady pressure on the quarterback and speed up the clock on the quarterback for the secondary, like they were doing a lot 2 years ago on a regular basis when they stayed pretty healthy. I think the defense will be in good shape. I think if those guys are dinged up and or not getting there on a regular basis, then some issues start to creep in. And then you have some questions about Monty Rice and Azeez Al-Shaair. Neither have started, full time really, and you have to see what they look like.
PK, obviously Kyle Phillips barely played last year. We saw in the preseason, he was cooking some guys and looked pretty good out there, was effective in the Giants game, and then he's hurt and basically a non-factor after that. He's going to have to be good for the Titans this year. So what do you make of, I guess, the trust level that they're going to have to put in Kyle Phillips this year? And along with that, would you consider putting him back there returning punts to start this season as they tried to do last year?
I think he's got to be in the line of guys catching punts at the beginning of training camp, and you've got to try to rebuild his confidence and get him in the loop. I mean, they drafted him in part for that. It fell apart for him last year, obviously, but I don't think you can shelf him yet. And I think, look, he was fantastic in training camp last year. I'm not going to get excited about any receiver in training camp this year. I'm thinking about a daily disclaimer, like, look, the highlights of the day were receiver so-and-so, but let's remember Marcus Johnson. Let's remember, I'll have a list ready.
Racey McMath,
yeah. And Racey McMath was like 3 days. Everybody let themselves get excited over 3 good days. Racey McMath is a zero. I'm sorry. But Kyle Phillips has short area quickness, period. And he's a unique guy in their bad stable of receivers. And the thing is, you worry about the injuries, but it was a one time through that he suffered 2 injuries, 1 season worth of 2 injuries. So to a degree, you have to feel like he's gravy, but to another degree, they're definitely counting on him. And he's a guy people are going to love if he can play his game. And he's not strictly going to be a slot guy. I think I read the other day, I think 21% of his snaps, which were limited, obviously, came on the outside. So, that number 2 receiver spot, which right now looks like a black hole, he could factor in a little bit there.
PK, last thing for you here. Obviously Jacksonville is going to be the divisional favorite heading into the year. How much better do you think they are with Trevor Lawrence with another year, Calvin Ridley coming in? What do you make of just how good Jacksonville could be heading into this year?
They've got 2 stud outside linebacker rushers also, if you like Travon Walker. Yep. I think they should be pretty good. First place schedule hurts them. You know, they get Buffalo, they get Kansas City, they get San Francisco. Those are 3 awfully tough games, the kind of games that Jags haven't had in a while. But you know, they also should beat up on the AFC South if they are what they think they are. I mean, I think the number one reason that I and that a lot of us would say the Jags aren't going to be as good as people think, and I think that bar is, you know, AFC South champions, not first or second seed in the AFC by any means, is that they're the Jaguars. And Jaguars traditionally fall on their faces even with expectations. So I think they should be pretty good. I think, you know, I wrote about expectations, and all 4 of the, you know, books that are on the apps have them winning the division at pretty unfavorable money. And I think there's good cause for that. It starts with the quarterback. I mean, they've got the superior quarterback in the division.
Yep, no question about that. PK, appreciate you as always. Thanks for taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, PK.
Good to be with you guys.
I'll say Paul Koharski from paulkoharski.com, our guest on Robby and Rexrode. Looking forward to that piece from Mike Herndon coming out later this morning on paulkoharski.com. We'll take your thoughts. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. A whole lot to react to, both from PK and from Barry Trotz. We will do that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Thursday night.
Kilo Meyer, the third ball. He scores!
The Stanley Cup playoffs continue as the Devils meet the Hurricanes in Game 5.
Sam Jarvis scores!
Coverage begins at 6. Your home for the Stanley Cup playoffs is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
You don't have just an ordinary mom in your life. She's the best. Her work never stops. Her sacrifices are many. Her love is unfailing. This Mother's Day, Genesis Diamonds invites you to join us in celebrating and appreciating the mothers in our lives. Stop in and let one of our trusted advisors help you find a special, meaningful gift. Layering necklaces, stackable rings, eternity bands, pearls, elegant diamond pendants, and of course, stunning diamond earrings. Great Mother's Day ideas for any budget. There's no doubt we love Mom, but sometimes a little extra appreciation goes a long way as a thank you for helping us through challenges, making sacrifices, and always putting the family first. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, Mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary. And at Genesis, that's our specialty. Exquisite rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, heirloom pieces. Timeless gifts of jewelry that she can enjoy and cherish for decades to come, and always be reminded of how special she is to the family. Genesis Diamonds, online at genesisdiamonds.net.
If you've been thinking about remodeling your home's kitchen or bath, contact the countertop experts at Smoky Mountain Tops. Willie Donick here, and we installed Smoky Mountain Top surfacing in our kitchen years ago. It's remained durable and super easy to clean up. Smoky Mountain Tops is proud to offer the new prestigious Vidara quartz for your kitchen or bath countertops. Vidara surfaces are ideal for use in almost any interior application. Check out the stunning new Vidara quartz shown at Smoky Mountain Top Studio. Contact the pros at Smoky Mountain Tops. Quality, service, and dedication. Visit SmokyMountainTops.com.
Along with being Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer, Parman Tractor is your one-stop shop for professionals in the tree care and tree removal business. More bark brush chippers and Rayco stump grinders are industry-leading machines made for more to keep pace with you. And Parman's parts and service team will keep your machines running. Durability, efficiency, and trust. That's what you'll get with Moorbark and Rayco. And with Parman. Swing by Parman or visit ParmanTractor.com to learn more about Moorbark and Rayco. Parman Tractor's employee-owned team promises totally outrageous customer service.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Good morning. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Barry Trott's with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So, Barry, you talked about the status of John Hines at the end of the season press conference, and now he's under contract, but some evaluation still needs to take place. Where are you at in terms of the evaluation of John Hines, and is there any news on what his status looks like for next year?
No, exactly what I said at the press conference. I'm going to evaluate. I think John did a terrific job, as I said. When I came on, we sort of moved 4 players at the trade deadline. He lost 8 players to injury, and he continued to, forge on with the group. And what I like about what John did is he just coached the group that he had. And I know John and his staff are good coaches. I sat in their meetings. I listened to them. I understand what they're doing. So with John, I just said, from my perspective, everybody is going to be evaluated, and also I'm going to evaluate other organizations too. So if I can improve in any aspect of our organization, be it coaching or development, I'm going to try to do that. But I can tell you the staff is a really good staff. They know what they're doing, and I have a lot of trust in them.
That was Barry Trotz earlier on the show discussing the status of John Hines. So still evaluating, and did say at the end of that clip there if he feels like he can improve at coach or really anywhere with the organization that he will do that. So I asked the question thinking that maybe there was a chance that he says, yeah, John Hines is under contract and he'll be back next year
the news on
as
our
head
show.
coach. But Barry Trott's still saying that he is under evaluation and that process is ongoing right now, which, I will say it is interesting to me. I mean, it's May the 10th. I mean, the season for the Predators has been over for basically a month at this point. So not that there's like a hard and fast deadline of when you make these decisions as a general manager. I mean, John Hines is under contract. He does have 1 year remaining on his deal. So there's no rush if you're Barry Trotz to make a decision like this. But it is interesting. We talked about him being at the end of season press conference and John Hines being up there on the stage with Poyle and Trotz, and how that, just reading between the lines, does that mean that he's back next season as head coach? And Trotz said at that time that he was being evaluated, and apparently the head coaching position still being evaluated by Barry Trotz as they move into the offseason. It is May the 10th. It's interesting that that's still ongoing at that point.
Yeah, it's still a not definitive, he will be our coach this upcoming season,
right.
Or the answer, which we hear a lot from general managers and, decision makers, is, well, he's under contract.
Right.
That's usually the go-to. That's been Mike Vrabel's go-to with Ryan Tannehill, Rand Carthon's go-to. Well, Ryan's under contract with us. John is under contract with the Nashville Predators. But to your point, I almost called you Junie. To your point, Robby.
I've been called worse.
As I'm looking at them through the glass here, to your point, I mean, it seems as if, there is still an evaluation process of, maybe seeing what happens in the NHL playoffs. And, I understand a coach who does well in the playoffs probably isn't going to get fired. But you never know in the NHL, and weighing all those options, or if it's an assistant somewhere, or he has somebody particularly on his mind, like if he has his guy, is something we talk about a lot when general managers come in.
Yep.
So the door has definitely been left open, cracked. But there is still time. I mean, I could even see a scenario where they start off the season, if things don't go well, then a change is made. But
yeah, I mean, things change a lot in the NHL at head coach. I mean, a lot. I mean, look, Gerard Gallant was the coach of the Rangers. He took them to the Eastern Conference Final in his first year, and they have a really good regular season this year. They load up their roster, and they get put out in the first round, and he's fired. Like, people get fired a lot in the NHL at the head coaching spot, and a lot of times those same coaches will end up getting hired somewhere else. So, I don't know. Look, John Hines is still under contract. There's a very good chance, I think, still that he's back as head coach next year. But the fact that Trotz has left it open this long is interesting to me, and it makes you wonder, like, is there somebody specifically out there that he's got his eye on? We've talked about Spencer Carberry, who's an assistant coach in Toronto, who, if they get put out tonight, is there a frenzy for teams that still have job openings for him to be a head coach? Gallant gets fired. Will he get rehired somewhere else? Peter Laviolette's out there. He ain't coming back here. But will he get hired somewhere else to be the head coach? And then, as Sean on the text line says, Carl Taylor is still playing in the AHL playoffs, and you can't disrupt that. I mean, I don't know whether or not Barry Trotz has serious interest in Carl Taylor being a head coach or a candidate for the Predators' job here. But I say all that to say it's very interesting to me that we're still, several weeks now removed from the end-of-season press conferences where the evaluation was taking place, and Barry Trotz is still in the evaluation process. Again, that doesn't mean that John Hines isn't coming back as head coach, but I find it interesting that they're still kind of going through that process at this point.
I agree. And add on top of that the fact that they had the end-of-season press conference, and all three of them were sitting next to each other.
Yep.
Right? That and the Predators organization, I understand there's going to be a change of general manager, but right now David Poile still is the general manager of this team, and the official transition won't be until after the draft. And what is one thing that has been unique about the Predators organization amongst the entire NHL is that they haven't had a lot of coaching turnover. It's been an organization where David Poile believes in consistency, believes in coaching consistency. And Barry Trotz, I mean, he's the first one to know that, right? When he started here as the head coach, people were very skeptical of him. What has he proven? And had a very, very long career here and then in the NHL as a whole. But this has been an organization where they haven't been quick to pull the trigger on a coach when things aren't working out. But then again, they are changing leadership in Barry Trotz when David Poile hands over the reins. So a part of me thinks, could that be the hesitation, right? Like, he's not officially the general manager yet, Robbie?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if that plays a role into it.
I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I kind of feel like if they wanted to move on, then you just do it, regardless of whether or not Barry Trotz is officially the GM yet or not. Like, Barry Trotz is calling the shot on this. Like, David Poile is not calling the shot on what John Hines' future looks like next year. But it is, like, it's just really interesting to me that evaluation process is still going on. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that John Hines isn't coming back next year, but I just found that answer from Trotz there to be interesting, particularly like the last part of it of, if I feel like I can upgrade the team, whether it's at coach or somewhere else, I will do that. And I just thought that part of Trotz's answer was pretty interesting. We'll continue the conversation on the Preds and some hockey. Luke Evangelista, Preds forward and star Preds prospect, will join us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The offseason is in full swing, but there's no slowing down ESPN's Teron Davenport.
The flow of information.
He talks the talk.
Spears gives you that guy that can still hit the home run.
And walks the walk.
As a run blocker, he's going to murder a linebacker at the second level.
On everything Titans, TD is on Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast. TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Sounds Baseball is back. Catch the action at First Horizon Park tonight at 6:35 as the Nashville Sounds take on the Gwinnett Stripers. The first 1,000 fans will take home a cooler sling. Plus, play music bingo during the game for awesome prizes. Grab your tickets at NashvilleSounds.com.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient
of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy classic wings, sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at wingstop.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Buffalo Bill's Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming welcomes you as you enter Yellowstone Park's east entrance. 5 museums in one, including a wonderful Plains Indian Museum. Welcome to the West. Buffalo Bill's Center of the West, Cody, Wyoming.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
As long as he wants to coach there, he will be able to coach there.
I think that really did save the hope of this team.
Michelle and Junie, presented by Superbook Sports, every Saturday morning at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's happening in Nashville? This is Scott Van Pelt. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby and Rexrode presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, helping home buyers and sellers in Middle Tennessee for 20 years. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. We are scheduled to be joined by Predators prospect Luke Evangelista coming up here in the next few minutes. So looking forward that conversation with him. Taking your thoughts right now on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Ben on the text line talking about John Hines and what Barry Trotz had to say on our show a few minutes ago. Said, we know that Hines isn't a special coach. It's a good enough reason to keep looking at least. This from Ben on the text line. And that's an interesting point. To me, if Barry Trotz is holding on this long and let's say he's not actually made the decision yet on whether or not to bring Hines back, it just makes you wonder if there's a person or two specifically that he has in mind. And when it's gone this long, you start to think about maybe a person or two specifically that's still playing in the playoffs at this point, or coaching, I guess is the right word.
In the NHL playoffs or the AHL postseason play right now? No, I completely agree, and I think that has been the conversation that we've been having. Season's still going on.
Season is still going on, and the season is still going on as well for the Milwaukee Admirals. They've taken on the Texas Stars coming up. Game 1 on Friday night in the Central Division Final with the Milwaukee Admirals and the Texas Stars. They just came off a great series, very entertaining series against Manitoba, a dramatic win. Spencer Stasny scoring the game winner the other night, and the Admirals moving on to the Central Division Final against the Texas Stars. And to help us talk about that and more, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Predators forward/Admirals forward, Luke Evangelista. Luke, good morning. How we doing?
Good. How are you doing?
We're awesome. Good. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, Luke, let's just start there. What was that series like from your vantage point against Manitoba? Obviously, a lot of guys that you ended the season with here in Nashville, playing up there in Milwaukee in that series. What was that series like, just the ability to bounce back from a 2-1 deficit and get that one done?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was, it was as tight as the series is going to get here. We want it in Game 5 with about, I think it was like 30 or 20 seconds left, something like that. But, I mean, credit to Manitoba. I mean, it was an awesome series. It was back and forth, really tight, good hockey and intense, in the building and stuff. But, it was awesome by our group to be able to, respond after being down a little bit there and find a way to win that series. So it was awesome.
Well, Luke, you've been with this group all year, be that in Milwaukee or here in Nashville with a lot of the guys as well. I guess, what have you learned about you guys as a group? A lot of you guys are considered to be maybe that next core of the Nashville Predators coming up together here. What have you learned just about the makeup of the group that you've played with this year?
Yeah, I think a lot of our success as a group just comes from the fact that we love playing with each other, and we love being in the locker room with each other. Like we're not just good players. We're players that get along really well and care about each other. And I think when you have a kind of group like that gels on the ice but also off the ice, you're destined for success. So I think just how much we love and care about each other has really helped us make that extra push at certain times this year, and it's kind of gotten us to where we are today.
Luke Evangelista is on with us right now. Luke, what has it been like to have kind of a core group of you young guys? You were able to, a bunch of you, make the move to the Predators towards the end of the season, have a postseason push, and now that same group of you is back in Milwaukee with a big postseason push. How much has it just helped you guys bond together and just build that chemistry not only in the locker room but also on the ice?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always talk about it. Even when I got called up to Nashville and walking in the locker room my first day for my first practice and just seeing a bunch of faces that, I had already played with and I was already really comfortable with on the ice and off the ice. It's really helpful. And then obviously, when you're, spending a whole year, whether it's in Milwaukee or Nashville with those guys and, just creating memories and experiencing that kind of stuff with them, obviously it's going to, gel you and make you that much closer. So just overall, whether I've been with this group in Milwaukee or Nashville, it's been a blast. And, I've loved playing with these guys.
Has there been anybody in particular you've, just became closer with this year from the transition of Milwaukee to the Preds and back to Milwaukee?
I could honestly name you five, six guys, but I think I got to give a shout out to my boy Kiefer Sherwood. We played on a line in Nashville, and him and his girlfriend let me live with them when we were up in Nashville for a bit too. So he's treated me really well this year, and we have a ton of fun playing together. So I'll give a shout out to Woody.
So did Kiefer Sherwood give you a bed? Were you crashing on the couch? And how was it living with him while you were up here in Nashville?
He gave me a bedroom. He treated me well. I had the basement to myself, so it was all good. And it was great living with them. They're first and foremost, they're awesome cooks. So if you're a good cook, you're in my good book. So they were great. They treated me really well.
Luke Evangelista with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So Luke, obviously we know what UC Saros brings to the table here in Nashville and how good he is. Yaroslav Askarov down there in Milwaukee, really highly rated prospect. It's been a lot of fun to watch him play this year, both from a talent standpoint and the fact that you never really know what he's going to do out there. What's it been like playing with Askarov, and what's been your impression of him to this point?
He's fantastic as a goalie, and also, like you said, just an entertainer. I always say, once he gets to the NHL and he gets some more eyes on him, I think he's gonna be going viral on social media like once a month or something like that, just for what he's doing on the ice. He's pure entertainment out here, but he's also been fantastic this year for us. Keeping us in games and sometimes stealing games for us and just making some unbelievable saves. He's been a joy to watch, and he's a great guy too. He's a pleasure to play with. So it's been a great year for him.
Luke, a lot of Predators fans obviously are really excited about you specifically and the year that you had at the end of the year here in Nashville. Obviously I know your season is still going on and you're focused on Milwaukee right now in the playoff run, but we've talked with you about your confidence level before. How have you handled, I guess, the success that you've had this year? You've been productive at every level that you've ever played at. How have you handled, what's been different about trying to kind of handle that at both the NHL level and the AHL level this year?
Yeah, I think fortunately, in the NHL and the AHL this year, I've been put in really good positions by the staff, just in terms of, the amount of ice time I'm getting and, guys I'm playing with and, power play time, all that stuff kind of factors into, being productive in terms of, numbers and offensively and stuff like that. But, I mean, honestly, I don't, let it get to my head too much. You always kind of got to perform, and especially in my role, like part of playing, being that playmaker and being a top 6 guy is, putting up some numbers and producing offensively for the team. So it's just part of the job. And, hopefully, I'm able to, keep this, the momentum from this year going and finish strong here and, be able to make Nashville at a camp next year. So I'm just kind of riding the wave right now.
Luke Evangelista joins us right now. Luke, Carl Taylor, I'm sure he was very excited when he got you guys all back from Nashville as you guys began your postseason push. What has it been like, just learning underneath Carl Taylor? And why do you think that he has, been able to successfully prepare you, Igor Afanasyev and all the other guys who were able to make their NHL debuts this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been awesome playing with under Carl this year. I think, first and foremost, he wants to win here. I mean, I think that's one of his biggest messages to us is that obviously it is, a development league, but you got to learn to win too. So I think that's been a big part of our success this year. And just the fact that, I think he just genuinely really cares about all of us as players and, wants to see us succeed, and he also wants to succeed. He wants to get to that next level, make that next jump. So I think just, the fact that he really cares about us and, he's pulling us aside, having one-on-one conversations with us about what we need to do to, make that jump and whatnot. But no, I think he's been great for all of us, all the young guys here in terms of, hopefully getting to the next level.
Is there something specifically you like or think is beneficial just based off of his coaching style? Like, is he a super serious guy out there? Do you guys goof around? Like, what is his coaching style like with you all?
No, he can be serious when he needs to, obviously, like any coach. But he loves poking fun with us, whether it's at practice or, video, stuff like that. No, he's obviously got a lighter side. So, he keeps it loose when he needs to. He keeps it fun. So, no, it's been great playing with him.
Luke, as we talked about earlier, you've been productive at every step of your career to this point. What have you learned about what it takes to produce and score goals at the NHL level, and just the time and space that you have and what all goes into scoring goals at the NHL level? What's kind of stood out to you about that?
I think, I think at the NHL level, I think I was just trying to use my brain a little bit more. I was playing with a guy like Tommy Novak, the guy that's just an elite playmaker, great hands, great vision. If you can find those soft spots for him and get to some open areas, he's going to find you. That's just what he does. So, I think for me, using my IQ and my brain to, kind of feel out where the soft spots are and find some space for him, create some space for him. I think that really helped me this year. And I think honestly, I was scoring more at the NHL level than I was in the AHL. So I think that was a big part of that. And I think that's kind of the key to producing for me personally anyways.
Luke, last thing for you here, obviously the series with Texas coming up on Friday, and you guys will start that series off at home. What's the key to advancing and moving on with Texas as things get rolling on Friday in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good team over there as well. They're a deep lineup and, they play hard. They're a good offensive team. But I think if we can, obviously we still got some video to watch on them, but if we can, manage the puck well and, not fuel their transition offense, I think we'll be good. And we got plenty of skill in our room and plenty of talent to, obviously make some plays out there when they're making mistakes. So I think we can just limit our mistakes and not fuel their offense. I think we'll be good.
Well, Luke, you've been really kind with your time. Really appreciate you taking time to join us this morning. Good luck coming up against Texas starting this weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Luke.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Luke Evangelista, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. The Admirals coming up against the Texas Stars this weekend in the Calder Cup playoffs. Luke Evangelista going to be a big part of that. We'll take your thoughts on that. The John Hines discussion that we've had, the Titans on the table as well. Lots of things to get to on the text line. We will do that next. And I got some tickets to give away coming up next as well. All that ahead. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robby and Rexrode for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes are keeping you from getting burned this summer. If you know your home needs an air conditioning replacement, do not wait until it breaks down. You do not want to be sweating in your home. This month, get a free UV light and free electronic air cleaner when you buy select new HVAC systems. Or get a whole home water filtration for just $59 a month. Or get a new whole home generator for just $139 a month. Call Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes to save the day. Visit happyhiller.com to book.
Imagine her delight when she unwraps a luxurious spa day from A Moment's Peace, the newly remodeled day spa and salon in Cool Springs. Time is running short, but whether you spend a little or go lavish, you can take comfort that your gift will be treasured, your love on display, and a smile on her face. Give affordable luxury from A Moment's Peace for mums, dads, and grads in Cool Springs across I-65 from Galleria Mall at the intersection of Carruthers Parkway and Bakersbridge Avenue. Call 224-0770 or click online anytime at momentspeace.com.
Hi, I'm Buddy Teaster, the CEO at Souls for Souls. We're a global not-for-profit based here in Nashville, and we provide shoes and clothing to people across the world. We're joining forces with 102.5 The Game for the second annual Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament on June 7th at the Hermitage Golf Course. A portion of the proceeds from the tournament will provide new shoes to children experiencing homelessness right here in Nashville. Hope you'll join us for an afternoon of fellowship and fun, all in support of a great cause. Go to thegamenashville.com/golf for more information and to register.
Mornings were made for better things than rheumatoid arthritis or RA. Xeljanz tofacitinib is a pill for adults with moderate to severe RA when tumor necrosis factor blockers did not work well or could not be tolerated. Xeljanz can help relieve joint pain, swelling, and help stop further joint damage. Xeljanz can lower your ability to fight infections. Don't start if you have one. Before and during treatment, your doctor should check for infections like TB and do blood tests. Serious, sometimes fatal infections, cancers including lymphoma and lung, blood clots, serious heart-related events, tears in the stomach or intestines, and allergic reactions have happened. People 50 and older with heart disease risk factors have an increased risk of death. Tell your doctor if you've had hepatitis B or C, have flu-like symptoms, are prone to infections, or have ever had a heart attack, stroke, clot, or other heart problems, or swelling of lips, tongue, throat, or hives. Ask your doctor about prescription Xeljanz. Visit Xeljanz.com or call 1-844-XELJANZ.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game has an all-star lineup Monday through Friday. Batting first at 6 a.m., it's Robby and Rexrode.
Yeah, you take that. You take that. Take 80% of that.
Followed by Chase and Michelle at 9.
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
I need my caffeine so much.
Then it's Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace at 11.
Yep, green light, let's go.
You've got a lot of options.
He say, she say. And bringing it home at 2, Jared Stillman for Stillman and Company.
That guy will be a good coach.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the day. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Michelle Knezovic. Nick Fraser here with you on this Wednesday morning. And I got some tickets to give away. A pair of tickets to see the Nashville Sounds take on the Gwinnett Stripers coming up at First Horizon Park this Thursday, which is tomorrow. Be caller number 3, 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to see the Sounds take on the Gwinnett Stripers at First Horizon Park tomorrow. So should be a pretty day for baseball. 615-737-1025. We had a busy show today. Had Barry Trotz on at 7:45. Paul Koharski joined us at 8 o'clock for his weekly visit, and thanks to Luke Evangelista for joining us in the last segment. If you missed any of it, check out the Robby and Rexrode podcast. You can find it on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and make sure you go back and listen to that. And, Michelle, I know you and Junie will have Carl Taylor coming up on the show as well. Looking forward to that as well.
9:45. Excited to talk about the Admirals making a fun postseason push. And it was fun to hear from Luke Evangelista and talk about Yaroslav Askarov, who is going to have a highlight reel of all of his viral videos on at the AHL level. And I have a feeling whenever he gets to the NHL, those will transition to. I mean, he's had the bench pressing, the goal,
the crossbar. Yeah.
He's had a couple fights. I mean, the splits. The guy's all over the place.
He's
skates
out of the net and skates to center ice at times and plays the puck. It's very entertaining to watch him play. So, look, I'm interested to see how the Admirals do. Obviously, I know it's Milwaukee. It's down in the American League, so it's not the same as the Stanley Cup playoffs, obviously. But a lot of Predators fans very interested in the run that they're going to make. So, looking forward to whether or not they can keep that going. Texas is very good. They got a lot of really good prospects in the Dallas Stars system. So this is going to be a tough one for the Admirals, but we'll see if they can push through and advance that way. 615-737-1025. One thing that Paul Koharski brought up earlier this hour that I think is really interesting, that is going to determine, I think, a lot of how this Titans defense looks. He brought up a couple of years ago where they could rush for, get after the passer, and it really kind of took care of everything else. That's going to be a really intriguing thing to see if the Titans can do this year. You bring in Arden Key, who I think is a good signing. I like his fit here with the Titans. We know about Jeffrey Simmons and what he's going to bring to the table. Danico Autry has been awesome for the Titans. Now, he's another year older. Can he still keep up the pace that he's been at the last couple of years? We'll wait and see on that front. But he has been incredibly important to what the Titans do. He's 32. He'll be 33 coming up. So can he continue that pace into this year? But Harold Landry, the big one, right? I mean, the last time we saw Harold Landry, he was playing at a Pro Bowl level for the Titans. He gets the big contract, and unfortunately, he has terrible luck. He tears his ACL last year, and he misses the entire season. So the last time we saw him was 2021, where he had 12 sacks. He played well in the playoff game against Cincinnati, and he was a guy that you could rely on to get after the passer. To me, for this defense to be what we think it can be, he's got to be that guy again. He's got to be the guy that maybe it's not necessarily 12 sacks, but it needs to be around 9 or 10 or 11, somewhere in that neighborhood where you're constantly getting pressure on the quarterback. And if they can't do that, that's going to expose weaknesses everywhere else. So the Titans' defense and how good they're going to be this year, to me, begins and ends with the pass rush and Harold Landry coming off the ACL. A big question mark on that front.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Robbie, it helps cover up some of the issues that they have in the secondary and a not too strong secondary. I mean, last year, because of a lot of injuries with, Fulton and Elijah Molden and Amani Hooker. But, Harold Landry coming off one of his best seasons. We talked about when he was healthy before the ACL injury. I mean, he was a guy who could play in every single game, and his best ability was availability. I mean, he was out there every single week. His health was something.
Playing like 98% of the snaps, too. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. So, I mean, if he heals from this ACL, you hope that he can come back and be that same type of player for you. I'm also looking, too, because they lost a David Long Jr., who was a big part of that, and a Rashad Weaver taking another big step this year. I mean, last year technically was his second year, but really his first year because of the injuries, his first year with the Tennessee Titans, but looking for him to take another big step last year. He definitely had some moments where, he kind of let the quarterback get out of the pocket. I mean, I think of the Chiefs game where Patrick Mahomes runs out and you got to fix some of those mistakes. And hopefully, having a guy like Harold Landry there as well will help him. Hopefully he takes another step. But to your point too, Jeffrey Simmons is still young. You hope he comes back fully healthy. But Danico Autry, another year older, and he was somebody who struggled with the knee injuries last year. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, if they can get back to their defensive mind, especially up front, being lethal up front and being able to rush the passer. I mean, they had DeMarcus Walker there last year too, who had 7 sacks. He had a pretty big season, who's now in Chicago right now. So what can that look like? What can the addition of Monty Rice, well, I mean, I know he's on the team, but what can Monty Rice look like taking on a bigger role too? Some of it is known of what the guys can do, and a lot of it is who can stay healthy and who can take a big leap from last year to this year.
Well, we talked about it earlier. Like Mike Vrabel and PK, I think, did a really good job of explaining this. Like defensively, I think we know what Vrabel is.
Yes.
He, especially with the personnel that he's got at his disposal. I feel reasonably good about the Titans' defense if they stay healthy, being potent and being something that's a problem. for other people. I mean, it got to the point, I know Saquon tore him up in the first game last year on the ground. It got to the point after that, basically, where teams just stopped trying to run against the Titans because there's no point.
Yes.
Like, you had Jeffrey Simmons getting pushed up front. You had Autry getting pushed up front. Tier Tart getting pushed up front. I mean, it was difficult to run the ball against the Titans last year. So, I feel good about the toughness and all that stuff on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively is where we're going to find out a lot about this group this year. You got a new offensive coordinator with Tim Kelly coming in. Charles London is the quarterback coach coming in. And I think it's really important that those guys have some success and that they show some promise. Number one, being able to develop Will Levis, whatever that looks like this year, whether he plays, whether he doesn't play. Like, that's got to be job one for Charles London moving forward here is Will Levis and what that means. But the second part of that is Ryan Tannehill and Chig Okonkwo spoke last week, and it does sound like the offense is going to look different. Now, what does that mean? How different does the offense look? And do they have the personnel to actually execute the different concepts that they want to have in their offense? All that remains to be seen. But it's a really big year from my standpoint on Vrabel's front for that. Like, he needs the offense to show some promise this year. And just to be, exciting is not the right term because if you're winning games, being exciting doesn't really matter. But being more productive and more consistent offensively, it's got to happen for the Titans this year. And the personnel makes you wonder if it's gonna. I think we're gonna find out a lot about the coaching staff the Titans have offensively with Kelly and London and Vrabel kind of leading the charge there.
Well, and not only productive, but not as predictable.
Yep.
And I think that was one of the major flaws of, the way that Todd Downing ran this offense, especially having Derrick Henry. I mean, you could almost guarantee the plays that Derrick Henry, it was going to be handed off to Derrick Henry. I mean, I remember some of us sitting in the press box. It's like, okay, Derrick Henry run here. Why is he off the field now? And certain things like that. So I think it was pretty telling to hear Ryan Tannehill and Chig Okonkwo just speak on how they feel like the offense is already so different. And Ryan Tannehill is here. He is here early, making sure to build that chemistry with Tim Kelly. And I think coaching is going to be a huge factor this year. I mean, it always is, but even more so this year because of the personnel they have on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And I think it's one of those things, too, where, Tim Kelly coming in, putting this offense in the best position to succeed. What does that look like? Does that mean that they're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets and you're going to see some Wiley out there with Okonkwo a lot? Or do you get to a point with this receiving room where you look at and you say, you know what? We feel good about going 3 wide out there. We feel good about Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips and NWI or whoever that is. Like, obviously, you're going to have to mix it up, but there's going to be a bread and butter that Tim Kelly and the Titans want to stick with. And whatever ends up being the most productive is interesting. One of the other points we brought up today is the offensive line. Mike Herndon at paulkarsky.com put together kind of a really interesting thread about, are we really sure that the offensive line is going to be significantly better than it was a year ago? You got a rookie coming in that you just drafted in Skoronski, a second-year player in Petit Frere at right tackle that needs to take a big step, Aaron Brewer at center, which didn't go overly well at guard last year, and then 2 guys in Brunskill and Dillard that didn't start and didn't play a whole lot for their team. So how sure are we really that the Titans' offensive line is going to be dramatically improved? That part of it's going to be really interesting to see, but that makes this group pretty interesting heading into camp.
I agree. There's a lot of question marks, and I think you can paint the picture on both sides. You can paint it to look really positive if X, Y, and Z all work out. Traylon Burks takes a step, Traylon Burks takes a step, Kyle Phillips takes a step, and the entire offensive line, works and meshes together, and the moves that they have made have worked out. But you can also paint the picture on the opposite side of things. Aaron Brewer doesn't pan out. Peter Skoronski has a tough rookie year. Nicholas Petit Frere doesn't take another step. So it's going to be interesting, Robbie Stanley.
It is. Michelle, another good day in the books here. You've got 2 more hours of radio coming up next with Michelle and Junie. That does it for us today on Robbie and Rexrode. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen. teeing it up for the title chase. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. Vanderbilt men's golf has been one of the top teams in the country all season, and now they know their first stop in this year's quest for a national championship. The Commodores are the #1 overall seed and at the top in the NCAA's Auburn Regional. Coach Scott Limbaugh says it's a tough group, including SEC foes Tennessee and Auburn.
A lot of coaches and teams that we know well, some not as well, but a lot of coaches we respect a lot. This time of year doesn't allow you to skip steps, and that region will need our utmost attention and focus, and that's what we'll be trying to do.
That from the Golf Channel. They'll begin play May 15th. It's the second time Vandy has been the top overall seed. Quick turnaround for baseball. The 5th-ranked Vandy boys open a series at Alabama tonight. All-American Enrique Bradfield Jr. has a chance to continue to climb up the SEC's career stolen base list after moving into 5th by himself with number 123 in Tuesday's win over Georgia State. Bradfield is one steal away from tying Chris Burke for 4th, and Burke is scheduled to be on the TV call at Alabama. First pitch at 7 with radio on the Vanderbilt Sports Network.